This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Here we go, OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and there he is, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on?
I'd like to make you guys aware of one thing. Being on TV, there's some pressure, but with pressure is privilege.
Yes, I like that line. Yeah. Pressure means privilege.
You know, pressure is privilege.
Okay, I butchered
People
it
are
already.
tossing that out there, and Keith Pelly used it. I thought we were going to speak with him today, but apparently not. The media relations kind of thing is not kind of coming together.
Yeah, funny how that works. We got to connect with people more. Hey, Keith, why don't you come on? No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
No, they were going to come on. He was going to come on, but then they were going to work on connecting more, and then he was like, no, I'm not going on with you guys.
Yeah,
so
I'm not going to do that.
It's a great start to that. But people are tossing out pressure is privilege, and he used it today, and I was like, it's almost like I believe it's a Kobe Bryant quote where it's one of the Mamba mentality. I don't know where it's popped up in the last 5, maybe 10 years. I don't know. But people say it and they're like, I think people that are hearing it, they think, wow, that guy means business. That's a serious comment. And then a minute later they stop and they go, what the hell does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, what did you mean by that? What did that mean for the Leafs? What did it mean for winning? What did it mean about the performance you saw in Game 5 and 7? What did the comment "pressure is privilege" mean? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I wasn't quite certain where he was going with that. I guess trying to defend the market, the team. You know, I guess embracing the idea that there is pressure. Clearly, if you're in the National Hockey League, if you're in the second round, if you're associated with the Maple Leafs and everything that comes with that. You know, I heard "good isn't good enough." There's another one that we like, right? There are a lot of catchphrases that I think
that one.
Very good stuff. But I will say, I think, you know, it was necessary that Keith Pelly came out and spoke today. If you're going to make a massive decision like the one they made yesterday, where
he
Brendan
spoke today,
Shanahan
Brian, but I really
here.
don't know what he said.
No, I don't think there was much that came out of it. Really,
nothing.
I guess it's my way of saying I think you had to do it, and he did do it, but he didn't reveal anything. You know, outside of, I guess, what we were wondering, will there be a replacement for Shanahan? And the answer was no, right? Like, they're not going to replace Shanahan. Maybe down the road that happens, but this would suggest to me Pelly is going to effectively play that role, not from a, again, hockey standpoint, like who to draft, who to sign. What I thought was most revealing, you guys tell me what you think, was that he was out for dinner with Craig Berube last night. And I didn't get the impression Brad Treliving was a part of that dinner, which I find somewhat...
he mentioned that Brad Treliving was in Calgary.
He's in Calgary, yes.
Yeah,
he's
with his daughter's graduation,
Right, but you guys tell me if my radar should be off there. I could be wrong. How often does the kind of president, CEO of the overarching company go for dinner with the coach?
I would think that would be a once or twice a year thing.
But wouldn't you think the GM and the president would be there too? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm wondering.
The GM wasn't in town though, so it wasn't an option.
I get it. You could have dinner in 3 days. What I'm getting to is Craig Berube, does he have a voice now? Is he not just a coach? You know, is that what came out of this? Because I've just found that intriguing that, you know, Pelly admitted he was out for dinner with Berube last night.
What I take out of it was that he doesn't have a relation. He needs to start developing relationships with these guys if he's going to be the guy at the top who's going to be, you know, with his pulse on the everyday situation. And if they're not replacing Brendan Shanahan, then he has to know what the day-to-day looks like, and he has to be able to trust that, you know, Craig Berube's doing his job, Brad Treliving's doing his job, because you're right. He's not a hockey guy. He's a fan, which is fine. You're allowed to be a fan. But if he's a good business guy, he's going to handle the business, and he's got to trust that Craig Berube knows what he's doing and Brad Treliving knows what he's doing.
Right, and he spoke glowingly of both guys. You know, both guys are going to stay, and they're going to be a part of the program. And I'm not driving at anything nefarious or anything. I'm just saying that generally I would think, there's a buffer between the guy at the top on the business side and the coach, and I don't get the impression Treliving was there. And it might suggest, again, Berube's going to have somewhat of a voice. And, the reason I think that might be important is generally that's not the way it goes. I mean, they'll speak to their GM. They'll talk about players they like, players they don't like. You got to be honest about that. But that's generally where it ends. Then the GM's job is to decide whether he agrees with you or not, and whether he's going to abide by what you're looking for or what you're not looking for. I guess we'll see. And we don't know exactly Keith Pelly's role in terms of the hockey operations. I think if you're Masai Ujiri and you're listening and seeing that, you have to have radar going, man. If you're Masai, you simply have to.
He's sitting in his office like the warden in Shawshank when he heard the sirens. He was like,
something's going on here, man.
That's tough. That's a tough analogy on that one.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked.
Just the sense of knowing you're like, oh, they're coming for me, maybe.
Yes, because it was brought up. There was obviously Bill Manning ran TFC in the Argos. He was gone last year. It's Shanahan this year.
Yeah.
Masai has, I believe, another year left on his deal, and then they'll make that decision. Maybe he stays, maybe he doesn't. Masai's always been different because he started as the GM and then moved up. Shanahan and Bill Manning didn't.
But I wouldn't be shocked if that's not done in short order, to be quite honest with you.
It might be. Yeah, it might be next week there's another presser. And what phrases are we going to get? The one question, I thought it was a great question, and it was danced around to the extent of, I haven't been here in the last 10 years, but the question was, and I would have asked the same question. I had it in the chamber this afternoon, but it's not happening. I wanted to know, because since I've retired, I think I've heard 5 to 7 different people say, this is the best organization in the league, best fan base. It's just the best team to be a part of, and it's about winning a Stanley Cup. So what makes Keith Pelly's vision or ideas better than the last guys that have? Shanny said it, Lou said it, Brian Burke said it, Tim Leiweke said it. There's been a bunch of different guys that have said it. So what is different? What is going to change? Because the question that was posed to him was, how could fans, why should they believe you? Like, why should they believe that you're coming in here all guns blazing? Why should we believe you? Because everyone has said that.
Right.
Best team, best fan base, they deserve the best, and I'm going to make this happen. Well, really? How are you going to do that?
I think that is ultimately the question that needs to be asked.
And he answered it by saying, well, I'm not responsible for the last 10 years I haven't been here. But it wasn't the question. It was like, what are you, like, how should we believe you?
I'm not sure he's got that answer. I mean, that doesn't mean he won't find it. I'm not saying he won't find it or can't find it.
Maybe he will find it.
But I'm not sure, Keith knows where to go next. I mean, ultimately, you got to rely on your hockey people to sell you on what is supposed to happen now. Right? It has to. It's Brad Treliving that has to come up with that. Ultimately, he matters more than Keith Pelly. They're going to spend to the cap. They're going to have resources. All that's still going to be available. That didn't change because Shanahan's not here. It was here when Burke was here. It was here when Nonis was here. It was here when, Fergie was here. It was here when all those guys were around. They've always had resources. The question is, can you make the right moves? And again, as we've said this is our 5th day now talking about this, it's not as if you're taking over an organization that finished with 65 points and has missed the playoffs the last decade. They made the playoffs 9 years in a row. They were just in Game 7 of the second round. It's that next step, and I wouldn't expect Keith Pelly to know how to do that. But I guess, he's got to push and prod and basically put his chips in with Brad Treliving and Craig Berube and hope that they have that answer.
Well, that's what it comes down to, Brian. Because if Brendan Shanahan had that answer, he would still be here.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And there is no magic formula or magic beans to sprinkle on anything. Keith Pelly has to trust that Brad Treliving knows what he's doing. And to be honest, I would like to see Brad Treliving do this on his own. And what I mean by that, with his resources and that, without outside intervention. Because I have no idea, what Brad Treliving was allowed to do and not with Brendan Shanahan here. Brad Treliving came in. Brendan Shanahan might have told him, you have to do this and you can't do that. You can't trade this guy. You got to do that. We have no idea if his hands were tied behind his back. That's the truth. We'll see. Keith Pelly might give him carte blanche and say, go get us to the third round or the fourth round and win a Stanley Cup. What do you believe? Here's the resources. Go ahead. I'm hoping that's the case.
That's what you have to hope for. And listen, I do think we know, just prior to Treliving being hired, it had been reported that Shanahan had called the core four and said, you're all good. You're all staying. So Treliving walked in basically with Shanahan telling him this is the way it's going to work. Doesn't mean he wouldn't have agreed with that. Doesn't mean Treliving wasn't on the same page. Let's be clear on that front. But obviously Shanahan had power. And listen, he had power from a hockey building standpoint, and he earned that because it was his role. That's what he was here for. Yes, he was here to do other things, obviously in the community, around the rink, and with the history and the fans and all that. But Shanahan was brought in, to sign off on whatever major was going to happen. Now I suppose that's Keith Pelly. But I would like to believe that he will be miles behind where Shanahan was.
Did you notice, Hazy, today that he said, it was a tough 7-game series with the Florida Panthers, and then he just squeezed in, who are completely manhandling the Carolina Hurricanes right now?
Yes.
I had to.
He mentioned that series a couple times.
He did it twice. He was like, it's going to the second round, 7th game into a team that's completely dummying the next team that they're playing. I was like, you little devil, you had to sneak that one in there.
Yes. Now, was your interpretation of that?
It was softening the blow.
Softening the blow.
Subtly softening the blow. It was like, it was tough, but the team that just beat us, they are absolutely crushing the guys next in line. Just to let you know.
Well, and I'm not sure. Listen, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that scared fans though, because after that, Twitter was like, this was the response on Twitter after that. They were like, they're going to be running it back, aren't they?
Right.
That was the Twitter response to that comment. They're running it back, aren't they?
They might not, though. They might not be able to, because Mitch Marner might say, sorry, I'm going somewhere else.
Right. He holds the cards. If he doesn't want to be here,
he holds the cards.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or it might not that he doesn't want to be here. He feels that it's time to move on. Like that's,
Sure.
I don't think it has to be egregious. I also just believe that if Mitch Marner wants a change or believes there's a change or something like that, I think this organization, I missed yesterday, obviously, and I saw the snippets. Of course, it's like 10 minutes into the show, and Shanny gets the gate.
Credit to them.
Credit to them, exactly, not 7:05. But, I think this organization is going to continue to get stronger, and it might be addition by subtraction. And you know what? Like, it's all rumblings. Well, maybe this guy's going to command this type of money and that. Again, I come back to, tinkering with a team that already has, some really good pieces. Again, you're not starting from square one. This is tinkering, but tinkering in a way that makes your team better. Like you guys talked about it. That team last night, again, this Florida Panther team has found they found it against the Leafs, but they found it at another level with Carolina.
They're getting
like
stronger
that was
and stronger.
Ass kicker, exactly. Like and now you go back to Bill Zito, and we come back bold moves. It's Huberdeau, 115 points for Matthew Tkachuk. It's being aggressive, letting players go. Brandon Montour, you're gone. Okay, we're going to find somebody else. Like, there are shrewd moves that were made by Bill Zito. This is where Brad Treliving is going to get an opportunity to make shrewd moves. And it might not be the most popular thing. Everybody is just resigned. Hey, John Tavares got to come back, if he cuts his salary in half and all that. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to see something different. I'm sorry, and I'm going to use that money for something else. Like, I can't wait to see what Treliving and his management group have in store for this organization. I'd be shocked if it was, hey, let's run it back again and just tinker a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is worthy of pointing out, who they're committed to. They have both goalies locked in. There's 6 defensemen who played every playoff game. They're all on term. Now, that is going to be a question we will talk a lot about over the next 5 weeks. Like, what's
think
the
an
mini
upgrade needs there?
Okay, so what's your mini Jerry's that they move? Like, and if they're going to move off someone, it's probably Morgan Riley. Like, who else are they moving?
Well, I just.
You mean, are you talking other than Tavares and Marner?
Well, I'm talking, if you look at the defense, the 6 defensemen that played, McCabe, Tanev, Riley, Carlo, Benoit, Ekman-Larsson, they're all on term. They all have at least 2 years left, I believe, on their contract, or at least this year anyway. Benoit may be entering.
I think Carlo's got one more, doesn't he?
I thought he had 2 years left, but
I'll check right now.
Anyway, it's at least this full season where they're all on term. So that is a legitimate question. If you're going to make a move, like McCabe's deal's just kicking in, Tanev's not going anywhere. Carlo they just acquired. You could flip him again, but you just got him. Benoit, I thought, played great. Like in the playoffs, he was outstanding. You're not moving off him. He was
one of their leading minute munchers in the playoffs.
He played as well as you could ever expect a guy in his position to play.
Yes.
And Ekman-Larsson's in year one.
But
so
they need to upgrade. They need somebody who can move the puck. They don't have anybody that moves the puck.
Well, it's supposed to be
I look at those
44.
You're right, but I look at those four final teams. All of them have a puck moving defense. I know Brent Burns is 40. He can still move the puck. Slavin's elite defensively. You look at Bouchard can move the puck, and you look Heiskanen can. I'm looking around. You look at Florida's got 2 of them, Seth Jones and Ekblad. Those are 2 number 1 defensemen.
You can add on top of moving the puck, Jamie. It's making plays, whether it's at the offensive.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like plays in your own end, plays in the offensive zone, joining the rush, just like not quite a rover, but almost. Like Mo used to be that. Mo was that. He was the guy that was dancing all over the place, and he hasn't done that in the last calendar year. So what they're going to do with that, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, that's the elephant in the room, is that the longest-standing guy would represent significant change. Like, that's not a tinkering move, No. And it doesn't mean you won't move off other guys. You don't owe anything to anybody. Maybe Carlo you tried, it didn't work. If you don't think it worked, then you move off him. Yeah. Maybe you move off Ekman-Larsson.
Brian, I've been saying it. We've all been saying it for several years now. When you've had the results that you've had, and we've all said it, and Craig Button, who used to be a general manager, said it, you have to be open to basically anything at this particular point. Within reason, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you are exploring everything that could possibly be changed for the positive.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. And I think you have to look at everything, because what you're trying to do in the offseason is make your team better. And I think Brad Treliving, he deserves a ton of credit because he made his team better last offseason. Hayes, we talked about those 6D were very good. Now the challenge is the next step. Get that D, get that forward group to the next level. And, that's a challenge, because everybody else around them are going to – Ottawa's going to try and make moves to get better.
Yeah, Ottawa,
Detroit,
Montreal.
Right,
sure.
like
and
those teams
let's be clear,
that are –
Florida's not going anywhere. Like, even if – I think they'll find a way to keep Ekblad. I think they will. And if they do, then you've got Ekblad, Jones, Forsling, and Mikkola as your top 4. That's the best top 4 in the league. Like, no one's touching that. Bob's in net for another year. And even if Bennett leaves, not ideal, but you move Lundell up. Lundell's a stud. And you're still going to have Barkov and Reinhart and Verhaeghe and Kachuk and, Lusto-Reinen. And this kid's been unbelievable.
Rodriguez
is on term. And
that's the luxury Florida has. They're like, Sam Bennett, you want to go for $10 million? I love these. If this isn't agent planting, I don't know what is. Now it's like, it used to be $8 million. Now it's like somebody tossed out there today. I think it was E.J. Raddick. He's like, I've been told one team is willing to go as high as 10.
$10 million for Sam Bennett.
Cap's going up, and you know what?
That agent's sitting in his backyard throwing breadcrumbs to everybody in the media, just like the guy Noodles saw at the Peeler joint in Denver.
That guy, what was his name? Jalen Rose.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
That's right. I shouldn't probably say
allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly.
But we know who his agent is. It's the same as Marner's agent. Sam Bennett. Listen, I think $10 million for me. I love Sam Bennett. I love him. $10 million does seem very rich. for a second line.
As much
center.
as you need intangibles, and
Yeah,
overpaying for skill is a dangerous game. Overpaying for intangibles and a guy that's going to get you 45 or 50 points is very dangerous.
Yes, and he fits in beautifully in Florida. You got to remember that. He pops in Florida. He looks amazing in Florida.
I bet you he does the same thing Reinhart does. As soon as they do whatever they do, however their season ends, he'll be a Florida Panther the day after the season.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Let me ask you this, then, just in a candid moment. Regardless, would you have replaced John Tavares with Sam Bennett on your second line in the playoffs this year?
For $11 million or just in general?
It doesn't matter. 11,
general,
10,
clearly
whatever.
you take Sam Bennett. Obviously you take Sam Bennett. Of course you would. I hear you.
And teams are going to overpay for that. What I'm saying is, like we're going, you can't pay that. Well, the Leafs just paid $11 million for guys that went away.
Yes.
Like guys
now, again,
that got shy.
7 years ago, John Tavares, was a different beast than Bennett. Bennett is a great player.
Agreed.
I love Sam Bennett. John was a number one superstar captain. It was a different story. Like now in the playoffs,
Agreed.
clearly you're taking Bennett, clearly, but it's also
right.
There's more context to that. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, and Bennett will be 29. I'd love to have him on my team. Every team in the league would love to have him. It just there's going to be a price that makes it uncomfortable. Like he's going. Let's say you punch it in and you say he's worth $7 million. Let's say that someone will pay him $9 million. Then probably will be like, I'll pay $2 million more to make sure I get him. At some point, you can't pay $3 million more, or $3.5 million, or $4 million, because then you fall into the trap. And I'm not even talking about the Leafs here. You overpay players. That's what kills you in the long term. Like that's the issue. And John's a perfect example. Tavares was nowhere close to an $11 million dollar player. Like this has been very clear for 20 years now. We're 20 years into the cap world. You have to have a collection of players, certainly the majority, almost all of them, exceed their cap hit in terms of performance. That's the formula for winning in the league. You have to. You have to
get away with a guy that's paid $5, but he plays like he's worth $3 or $3.5.
Yes, you can get away with a couple.
But
of
if you're
guys.
talking about a $4 to $5 million difference, like you're paying a guy $10 and he plays like he's worth $6, you're probably in trouble.
You're in big trouble.
If you've got multiple situations like that, you're in real big trouble.
You're in big trouble.
Well, that's the problem. Is you look around the league, there was only there was one team that paid 4 guys double digits. Correct? There wasn't anybody else.
In the regular season, they played like that money. The playoffs, they didn't.
Agreed.
The biggest moments, nowhere close.
That's the other question I had for Keith today. It was like, I understand you told your little story. You were sitting there with your kid, and, the pressure is privilege. I want to know what his thoughts were from the players that he watched in those 2 games, what he saw from that. Like, what did he make of that? Mm-hmm. Nobody asked that question. There was some talk of TFC today, and I'm like, why are they asking about TFC?
There was a question. He dodged one about watching the game or whatever. It was kind of in that line, and he's not going to step on Tree Living's toes.
Yes, it was the question of what did you think when you saw jerseys coming out on the end and the whole nonsense.
And he's like, I'll let Brad get in. Like he's going to dance around it. The thing we don't have an answer to is how much say and power he's going to have with Keith Pelly. Because we've said this forever. GMs have said for a million years, I need full autonomy. I remember talking about this when Burke got here. Full autonomy. Doesn't exist. You don't have it. They can say you have it when they sign you. You have a boss, and they'll fire you if they don't if you have an issue with your autonomy, right? And that's the question. We don't have the answer to it, and Pelly's certainly not going to reveal it publicly. But I don't know. Like what? This is purely hypothetical, but maybe he's got a relationship with one of those guys, really close one, really likes him. I don't know. They're local guys. They've been around the market for a long time. Would that cloud his decision-making? Right. Would that lead to him telling Tree Living, hey, you know what I think is a good idea? Keep this guy around. He's a good guy, and we like him. I don't know. But ultimately, he's going to have the final say, like president and CEO of the company, if he wants to, can have a lot of power. And then it gets complicated, then it gets sticky, and then Tree Living could be in a position where, again, I'm creating all this out of thin air, but
he's got to stick to his word where he said, I'm letting the hockey people do the hockey thing. If he wants to go and get all boiled up at dinner with some other hockey person and then call Tree and say, do this and do that, you got a recipe for disaster, man.
Yeah. And that's on everyone, the board and himself included, to make sure that doesn't happen. Supply the resources, be a sounding board. And he said that today. He said that's the plan. Sounding board, resources, got to know what's going on. And he's entitled to that. He's allowed to sit down and try to figure out what's going on. That's his job. But, we'll see, man. We're into a new era. Like, it really actually does finally feel different. Like, with Shanahan not here, feels like Marner's effectively gone.
Dubas is gone. Keith's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Dubas and Keith. Like, it is officially a new era. Yes, there'll be familiar faces and familiar voices, and it's a fork in the road. There's a chance it gets better. That's what everyone's hoping for. That's what they have. That's what he promised today. Pelly effectively promised that we will find a way to make sure it gets better. It could get worse. It could. There's going to be anxiety in this fan base. I'm telling you.
Yeah. There's
going to be concern. Like, if Marner leaves and Tavares leaves and Shanahan's not here anymore, what if they have a slow start next year? People are going to freak out.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Well, I'll be coming. There'll be a new me too, because I'll be coming off the top turnbuckle now. I'll tell you that. You just wait. I am coming. Jimmy Superfly Snuka off the top turnbuckle.
Top turnbuckle. Okay, yeah. I love it. The Superfly is back. He's back. All right, we got Chris Johnston coming up. And Chris Pronger on the show today. We'll catch up with Prongs. Mike Johnson will join us as well a little bit later this afternoon. Dear Hazy B, some big news on the RBC Canadian Open. My boy, is on his way to Osprey Valley. Ludwig Oberg is a commitment.
That's my guy.
That's my guy. You know it, dude.
No, it isn't. Your guy, Sung Jae Im, is coming.
He's coming, too. Sung Jae's coming. Yeah. I love that Sung Jae's going to be up there.
Maybe once this year, I don't know who's in charge of this, but maybe once. We love having Weirzy on and the Canadian guys. Can we get Ludwig or Sung Jae or somebody to come over?
Yes.
Max Homa, Rory, maybe Rory, Shane Lowry.
That would be
Who knows? Can someone in that department
who's the guy with the bad shoes? Who's the guy you always bug with the bad shoes?
He doesn't wear bad shoes anymore.
Not anymore, he doesn't. Alex Noren's coming up with his goofy stance and he was driving Jim Nantz insane last week when he was doing like the warm-up swing on the first tee of the final round of the PGA Championship. Nantz is like, well, there's Alex Noren. You're going to see that a lot today with the overemphasis of the swing before the swing. He was so angry on the first tee.
Dude, I'm pretty sure. I don't know why he didn't hit the mute button and go right to the camera guy, whoever's in control of the shots, and say, don't show him again.
Yes. No more. No more.
All I want to see is impact of his golf club and the ball, because I'm not watching that stupid routine.
Right. But we will up at Osprey. We're going to be up there at the RBC Canadian Open. We can't wait. Opening round, 2 weeks today. All right. CJ coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
OverDrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
At FanDuel, we know hockey fans don't just have a hunch. You have a hockey hunch. You could tell they're going to light the lamp before they do. You could see that assist coming a mile away.
Down the board, pass in front,
and you just know when your goalie is totally in the zone. So put your hockey hunches together for a same-game parlay. Bet the NHL all season long on FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook.
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
Buying a car is kind of a big deal, and you deserve something you love. Because it's where big life things happen. And little ones, too. This is your car. And sometimes your office. Whoa, it's okay. We're good. And you're going big places. Wait, where are you going? At Car Gurus, we get it. With deal ratings and a massive selection of vehicles, we make sure your big deal is the best deal.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave with
this spring at Canadian Tire, you'll find over 1,000 deals each week, up to 40% off. So while it's not always easy, we we've gotten used to goodbyes. Discover this week's deals online or in the flyer.
Avoid the hype.
Whatever life you choose, gold is easy to invest in online. It could help you grow what you have and protect it. Gold. Choose your own path.
Love glitter? Try having it literally everywhere. Waterworks? Nothing's more dramatic than a skin nude. Paparazzi's got nothing on first graders.
During Canadian summers, some things are only natural. Like a child insisting they didn't want mustard 3 seconds after asking you for mustard. These Canadian summer moments call for Maple Leaf's naturally delicious protein, using only real, simple, natural ingredients.
This is Desmond and his lawn. He thinks watering is enough to have a thick, green, healthy lawn. What he really needs is Scott's Turf Builder Lawn Food to promote thicker grass that crowds out weeds. Feed it with Scott's. Your lawn will thank you.
Domino's new Parmesan Stuffed Crust Pizza tastes like never before. Because Domino's has never had stuffed crust before. Seriously. But we do now, and it's stuffed with melty cheese and topped with garlic seasoning and Parmesan. Try it for the first time tonight. From Domino's.
The CHL's ultimate prize is on the line as league champions clash with host Rimouski.
One of the hardest trophies to win in all of hockey.
The 105th Memorial Cup on TSN.
MasterChef, Wednesday on CTV. Stream next day on Crave. Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We're up on YouTube Live. We've been up all week. A lot of positive reactions on YouTube. Lots of positivity. Always positive comments. The comment section blowing up.
Oh,
I love it.
There's comment sections.
Oh, yeah. It's great,
so
man. It's great. Like, you go check it out and be like, Hayes is a moron. Like, thank you. It's great. Awesome
I heard a great
stuff.
one just before we get to. Do we have a guest?
We got CJ, who was down there for Keith Pelly's presser.
Before we get CJ, FedEx guy. He said, I'll deliver a package to you, no problem. I'll deliver a package to Noodles, no problem. I will not deliver a package to Hayes because we have fraud protection. And I said, FedEx guy, that's a good one.
That's actually a great line.
It is.
And
he was being like, he was trying to be funny, but I was like,
that's a good line, man.
Yeah.
You got to give him credit. That's a good line. I like that. All right, here's Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. CJ, you were there for the Keith Pelly presser. What did you take out of it? How honest do you think Keith was today?
Well, I thought he was pretty honest. I mean, you know, there's still a lot of gaps, I guess, and some things we're all wondering about how this is going to work and, you know, what it means, I suppose, for the Leafs front office at the top levels moving forward. But I didn't feel like he was hiding from those answers. I felt really like it just reinforces how raw and fresh everything is. I mean, it was only yesterday afternoon that Keith and Brendan Shanahan had a face-to-face conversation where Shanny was officially let go, and then he's doing that press conference less than 24 hours later and explaining the way forward, and Brad Treliving's not even in the city yet. So, you know, I think it was pretty direct, pretty honest, pretty on brand for what I expect from Pelly, but, you know, I'm still not entirely clear what the executive team's going to look like, what the mandate's going to be beyond the obvious that, you know, he made it pretty clear that they're trying to win a Stanley Cup, which I think is what we'd all expect.
We all kind of thought that comment was coming, CJ, but did you have any kind of evidence of who? I think people wanted to know who the hell's going to make the call on players like Marner and Tavares moving forward. Like, is that going to be Craig Berube and Brad, or is that just Brad, or what? Who's making the call on these guys?
I'd say I came away from that feeling as though Brad Treliving's making the final call on those guys. What I guess has to be worked out a little bit here is, this was new, the idea that Craig Berube is kind of in the inner circle now. I mean, he's having dinner last night with Pelly, and, there's not that many coaches league-wide that I can think of that have sort of a direct line to ownership. I mean, obviously coaches around the league know their owners, probably say hi to them in the hallway, see them at certain events. But, Berube and Pelly having dinner, I think it's more than just a sort of a footnote. I think it's telling. And when we asked Pelly about it, he said that he thinks Craig's a tremendous asset to the organization. It's someone he wants to lean on. So, it does seem as though Berube, whether it's formal or not, I'm not certain, like whether he's going to have a contractual sort of I've got a say in things. It does appear certainly that his opinion is now a little bit more in the sphere of decision making, but it wasn't exactly worked through today how that all is going to work. And look, we'll hear from Brad Treliving at some point next week, early next week, I think, and maybe some more of this will be clarified because he'll meet with Pelly for his own dinner here over the weekend. And again, I just think everything is still kind of being figured out at the top levels, but at the end of the day, Keith Pelly made it clear he's not in charge of hockey decisions. He doesn't want to get involved in trades or free agent decisions. So, I mean, that's all on Treliving's plate now, and obviously the people that work with him.
CJ, at what point do you start sniffing around on free agent marketplace? Have you been trying to touch base with agents and stuff? Because obviously, yes, there's 4 teams still playing, but a lot of other GMs and organizations have had their pro scout meetings and their amateur scout meetings heading up to the draft. So I think, the second season, we'll call it after the regular season and playoffs, might be in full swing behind the closed doors.
Yeah, we haven't quite got there, Noodles, in the last few days, though. I've been nibbling at that market, and really where that goes into overdrive, pun intended, is early June. There's that draft combine. There's the draft combine in Buffalo where you have all the agents present. Obviously, all the teams are there. The official business being done is talking to the prospects and getting ready for the draft. But I think that's where the seeds tend to get laid for figuring out the free agency board and what's going to be available. And that's probably where the T word happens the most, tampering. Although, of course, the league does not look kindly upon that. So I don't have a full sense yet exactly kind of who's going where and how the chips are going to fall. But certainly within the next 2 weeks here, I think it starts to take on a little bit more clarity, and you get a feeling of who the players in the marketplace are, who might still yet sign. I mean, for example, it won't surprise you guys. I know you've been talking about it. We expect Tavares will sign an extension in Toronto. Well, I would think that'll be done 2 weeks from now if it's going to happen. So, there's still a few parts, I guess, that are moving in various places. But when you get down to this few teams still playing, the business of the off season is going to start to kick into full force here come early June.
So to follow on Tavares, do you feel like that deal has been done for weeks and months, and basically what just happened in the playoffs is effectively irrelevant?
I don't know. I don't think certainly the deal is done. There were definitely conversations throughout this season where I think both sides got a sense of where they would want to go with a contract and how that would look. And now I think it's time to figure out the details of what that might look like. But it doesn't mean they'll reach a deal. I mean, just because the Leafs want to keep Tavares and Tavares wants to stay, it's a not an insignificant matter of, what his next deal looks like that would have to be agreed upon before it happens. And by no means do I have an impression that's done. So I suppose there's still a universe where it doesn't, wind up the way that Tavares is hoping it does. And maybe there's an opportunity there for the Leafs to, try to, I don't want to say take advantage of, because that's probably the wrong phrasing, but use the fact that he's so eager to stay to help out what they need here. Because let's face it, you have Austin Matthews signed next year. We're talking about the certainties. The Leafs probably need to acquire 2 centers to play behind him for next year. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe Max Domi is the solution. I can't imagine the organization's feeling that way after seeing the way the year played out. Scott Lawton's under contract next year, but he didn't really use him in the role that we thought they might when they traded for him at the deadline. So, you got to fill 2 center positions. There's not a lot in free agency. I think keeping Tavares makes a lot of sense, especially if the number's right. And so, it doesn't sound as though the talks have got going there yet, but once they do, we'll find out pretty quickly if the numbers can line up to make that happen.
So the role Brendan Shanahan played in selling this team and market to free agents, how significant was that in your opinion, and how significant might his departure be in terms of the way the rest of the league and the agents, most importantly, view the Maple Leafs?
I actually think, because, you hear a lot of people say, oh, what did he do, right? Because it wasn't always clear to anyone on the outside, what the impression was. But I think it's a big, big loss for the organization in terms of a lot of that sort of thing. I mean, I listened to your highlights and lowlights yesterday, Hayes. I thought you nailed it. But, getting Mike Babcock to Toronto, Shanahan had a massive role in that at the time. And, of course, that was a big coup at the time. Mike Babcock was basically a marquee free agent in his own, right at that point in time. I think sort of making sure there's the right luster to the brand, that certain situations are handled properly. I think of, this isn't exactly the spirit of your question, but when Borja Salming, got his ALS diagnosis, the Leafs were heavily involved in making sure they could get Borja over here for a game, and they sent an alumni team over to Sweden to play, in his honor and things like that. So, I don't know where those responsibilities fall now. I think it's too much to expect the general manager, who day-to-day you want out there beating the bushes, looking for upgrades for the fourth line right wing spot and for considering trade options and negotiating contracts. I mean, having someone with the organization's big picture in mind, and that could probably go down to even wooing free agents, there is a loss there. And I wonder in time, I mean, Keith Pelley certainly didn't sound like he's looking to get a president today, but I wonder in time if that void is filled in some way, shape, or form by a future hire. But, in the here and now, Brad Treliving's got a lot on his plate. That would have been the case had Shanahan stayed, but I think it's even more, as they navigate these next few weeks, how they manage the Marner situation, how they look to potentially replace him and use his dollars in the lineup, trade opportunities, the draft. I mean, this is a critical offseason, because the biggest thing I left that news conference today thinking was, a step back next year is not an option for Leafs ownership. I mean, any world where they lose in the first round, or anything that we might point to where the team didn't grow next season, it makes it seem like we're going to have another round of these press conferences and be talking about big changes to the organization if that's what happens on the ice.
Yeah, I'm curious, if Pelly and ownership, for that matter, have someone in mind that they don't feel they could get right now, to play that role of president. Maybe they have someone in mind down the road. But I'm curious what you think the Leafs' appetite would be to sign another player to a big contract. In other words, Marner leaves. Let's say they bring Tavares back. It sounds like it's trending in that direction, but he signs for $5 or $6 million or whatever. There's been all this conversation about the core four and all this money and all of it tied up in a certain amount of players. What if they got a guy in mind that they like, but they got to pay him $10 million? Do you think they'd be willing to do that, or do you think they're finally going to get away from that and say, well, we're paying Austin, we're paying Willie, and we're not paying anyone else close? We got to spread the rest of the money out.
I think as an organization, they would consider it, but I don't see a $10 million player available in free agency if you're not signing Mitch Marner. I mean, who else on the board will be getting that kind of contract? I don't think it's out there for any of those guys. I mean, that's part of the challenge, though, is there's not, after Marner, there's lots of good players, and there'll be good signings made this summer, but there's not a lot of sure things among the other free agents that are available. And so I don't know if you're sort of pointing me in the direction of Sam Bennett here. I have a hard time believing he's going to get that kind of money anywhere, let alone in Toronto. I think he'd like to stay in Florida is kind of my understanding of things now, and so he might not even hit the open market. So I think the market will probably drive the decision more than anything, and to me it's pointing the Leafs in the direction of some smaller bets, and you got to keep the powder dry a little bit. I think they have to be careful of how long, and how big the commitments are to other players. Because to me, if you're any team in the league that's trying to win a cup in the near term, until Connor McDavid's future is 100% secure, you got to keep yourself in a spot where you could make that happen if it could happen. So by no means am I trying to start a McDavid to the Leafs rumor. It's not really what I'm saying, but I think until his situation in Edmonton and until he signs an extension there, and if he doesn't, I think you want to leave the opportunity for that to happen for your team. And so, obviously the Leafs are going to be active, I would think, in free agency. They've got money to spend and some holes to fill, but it's probably only to a point, because you got to stay in the big game hunting that might happen in 2026 and beyond.
All right, CJ. We'll leave it there, and it's going to be interesting times over the next month and a half. That is for sure. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for saying
No problem,
OverDrive in your comments, too.
Yeah, that was well played.
Yes, very good.
Perfectly dropped pun.
Well, when I'm not on the show, I listen to it. So, I'm the biggest fan out there.
We appreciate it, buddy.
We know that's not true, but thanks very much for that.
Hey, I referenced the highlights and lowlights.
That's right.
I was listening yesterday.
That list popped off, man. I thought I nailed it personally, and I don't say that often. I don't pump my own tires very often.
He only pumps his own tires every time he does that segment, CJ. Thanks for taking time today, pal. We'll do it next week.
All right, have a good weekend, fellas.
See you, buddy. Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. Yeah, listen.
I watched those lists. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought they were pretty lean.
You thought they were lean in terms of what the highlights were. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what do you think
there hasn't been any Noodles. Where was he supposed to go?
They've won 2 rounds. What could it be?
I'm not saying that from your standpoint, Brian.
I see.
I thought you did an excellent job.
You're saying it kind of shines a light of what the reality has been.
The reality was they were lean accomplishments in 11 years. That's my point. I thought your lists were fantastic, grade A, top notch. But I
wouldn't say that personally, but I'm glad you said it. Thank you.
I'm proud of them, and I was talking to somebody last night about them, and I was like, God, that list is he must have had to mull over some stuff to get to that.
Listen, the issue is when your highlights, and this is in large part the history of the team, when multiple highlights are from June and July and not on the ice, it's a sign, right? When it's a hiring or winning a lottery or whatever, then obviously that's a sign. But that's the truth, and that's how difficult it's going to continue to become. And you mentioned pressure. Pressure is a privilege.
That's banned from the show.
Well, whatever. It's still it's out there.
No, it isn't.
It's not out there.
People
anymore.
just throw it out there. I'm telling you, people that are listening to someone when they say pressure is a privilege, that they just hear that and they're like, man, that guy means business. And then they
it does
say,
sound dignified.
Yeah, and then they say to themselves, well, what the hell does that even mean anyway?
Well,
I'm telling you, it's just it's for Kobe, and that's it.
I'm with you. I hear you. I think Billie Jean King once said it as well at the U.S. Open. But I think what I was getting to was, you think pressure's there in the second round. Wait till you get to the third round or the Cup final. Yeah. That's pressure. You've played in it. That's a different level of pressure.
That's what that was going to be my follow-up. It was you talked about pressure. Do you think the guys that you're paying all that money to handle pressure well? That's a reasonable question.
That's a very reasonable question.
Yeah, you sat there and watched them for 2 games, 2 big ones. Do you think they handle pressure well?
2 of the biggest games, they were paralyzed.
Yep, they were awful.
They looked awful.
All right. Yep. MJ coming up in 15. Dear Hazy B later this afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
At Eastside Mario's, kids eat free every Tuesday when you dine with us. That's right, free! Mini Mario's can choose any kids' meal like cheesy bow ties, pepperoni pizza, or spaghetti. Oh, did we mention it's free? Tuesday just became your favorite day of the week.
Bada boom, bada bing. When we come together, we can handle anything.
Let's huddle up, Canada.
I am a champ.
I am a champ. I am a champ. am a champ. I am a champ. A member of the Warham's Child Amputee Program, thanks to your donations.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego zero-turn riding mower with E-Steer technology drives like a car, turns on a dime, delivering ultimate control with the precision of a steering wheel. It's weather resistant, and with 22 horsepower, it cuts up to 2.5 acres on a single charge. Powered by Ego's patented 56-volt arc lithium battery technology, the same batteries used on all Ego tools. Find an Ego retailer near you.
Hiding muscle and joint pain behind a smile? Voltaren can help. Voltaren contains a clinically proven anti-inflammatory that penetrates deep to relieve your pain and reduce inflammation. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
I can see clearly now. I'm here to save you.
I want to give you the chance you need. A chance to give.
I want to remind you that your life means a lot.
And you can share that life with those who really need it.
Here we go. One more. One more. Go, go, go.
I'm here to save you, like you're here to save me.
Bright sunshine day.
When Janelle asked the web for motion sickness remedies, Carlos from St. Catharines replied, lay flat on your back and take some deep breaths. That's when Nora in Winnipeg said, I trust Gravol. For fast, effective relief from nausea, trust Gravol. Proudly Canadian.
Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump, jump. Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump.
Ranked #1 in client satisfaction among mid-sized banks 13 years in a row. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
Bright ideas, Mom's got it. Ruining a great song, Mom's got it. Energy to keep up even when she doesn't have time to eat right, Mom's got Ensure Protein Max 30 gram.
Whoa, who half-assed his framing? Oh boy.
Son, no one likes a half-ass. No one.
You can't half-ass plumbing in Canada. Jeez.
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Mike Johnson coming up, and apparently there's an extended version of the Ring camera, the Bill Belichick leaving the house with no shirt on stuff.
I watched it today. It was awesome.
Like an extended version?
Yeah.
He's got a bag over his shoulder. He's
Probably
got no
his
tarp
coach's
on, but
bag
he's got
with
a
his laptop in it.
Yeah. I mean, this Pablo Torre, he is on a
Yeah.
mission to get this guy. It's like Woodrow and Bernstein, man. This is Watergate. Like he is going to crack Bill Belichick if it's the last thing he does.
It's
so
funny.
There's more on that.
Pablo Torre asked the question. Look at this guy.
There's the bag. That's the second trip.
That's
he goes
his
out
work
to his
bag.
car and goes back.
Yeah.
I know, but where's his tarp? Where's his shirt?
Who cares? It's in the trunk. Doesn't matter. It's in the house. He doesn't care. Like, look at he's got. What is he doing? Checking the tire pressure? What is Bill Belichick?
Why does he have no
up to?
gear on, for crying out loud? Like he
don't
went
know,
into
man.
the house with gear.
That guy is running the football operation at North Carolina, and TMZ reported earlier this week that he's engaged now. That there's an engagement with him and his girlfriend. So,
Guys, I'm not gonna. I'd fire him. I would just say we're not getting in bed with this. Sorry, it was a good idea, but I want to just stop this before it gets going.
there is a date that kicks. I want to say it's June 1st. as of June 1st, the buyout for firing him drops off a cliff. So as of now, you'd have to pay him $7-8 million. As of June 1st, it's like $1 million. So there is some people that are wondering if in a couple of weeks they decide to go down that road. That would be quite the story. If Belichick pulled a Babcock here, just never got to the start of the season, it would be crazy. All right, MJ coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave with
This spring at Canadian Tire, you'll find over 1,000 deals each week, up to 40% off. So while it's not always easy, we've gotten used to goodbyes. Discover this week's deals online or in the flyer.
Try the Barber Club Beard and Skin Oil, infused with cedarwood oil. It grooms the beard and relieves dry skin, nourishes and softens your beard. Iconic. That's why we're #1 in the world. Just join the Barber Club, co-crafted with barbers by L'Oreal Men Expert. Yeah, we're worth it.
Doing a tile project? DMX tile membrane installs up to 50% faster compared to the competition. The secret is in their unique dimple shape. Trust me, once you've tried it, you'll never go back. Available now at Rona.
Smart devices against humanity. Freedom! Freedom! Freedom!
Good thing we're with Bel Air Direct. So simple.
Filing a claim with the Bel Air Direct app is simple.
Is your garden trying to tell you something? Sunlight and water can't satisfy your garden's hunger, so feed them Miracle Grow and see the difference. Satisfy your garden's hunger with Miracle Grow.
The Silverado Trail Boss. And a little work. And a little play. And a truck that says no to nothing. And Chevrolet.
Truck Month is on now at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on select 2025 Silverado models, or visit your dealer for lease offers.
And Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
When Priya asked the web for upset stomach and nausea remedies, Susie in Red Deer said, sit in front of a fan and rub your belly. That's when Nora in Winnipeg said, I trust Gravol Ginger, made with real ginger for upset stomach and nausea relief. Trust Gravol, proudly Canadian.
1, 2, 3.
At Wayfair, we get pretty excited about furniture. Around here, it's not a patio, it's patio. Oh, I love those chairs.
Shed-tastic.
Let's go. This rocks.
My queen.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm at the bed.
Girl, you nailed it!
No, this set, it's just a couple of screws.
They're a perfect combo. They got a fire pit.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
I worry about my rivets, not my ratings. I climb scaffolding, not the pop charts. Accolades. I'll cheers to that.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego zero-turn riding mower with E-steer technology drives like a car, turns on a dime, delivering ultimate control with the precision of a steering wheel. It's weather resistant, and with 22 horsepower, it cuts up to 2.5 acres on a single charge. Powered by Ego's patented 56-volt arc lithium battery technology, the same batteries used on all Ego tools. Find an Ego retailer near you.
So
So what do we have here, Alan?
This is our new steakhouse teen burger.
Is that like a bacon jam or something?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that a bacon jam?
Bacon jam.
It's bacon jam and creamy peppercorn aioli.
Yeah, mate. Banging.
New favorite.
Try the new steakhouse teen burger at A&W.
The CHL's ultimate prize is on the line as league champions clash with host Rimouski.
One of the hardest trophies to win in all of hockey.
The 105th Memorial Cup on TSN.
Sail GP lives here.
It's Mail It In Friday.
The plant called and said if you don't come in tomorrow, don't bother coming in Monday.
Woohoo! 4-day weekend.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan, Mike Johnson coming up in just a moment. We'll get his take on what's going on overseas. Canada losing to Denmark yesterday. That was shocking. So Johnny was up close, personal watching that.
I love how they're going after Dubes for that one too. As soon as they lost, it was like, Dubas.
I know.
Like
I took a jab
everyone
at him.
was. I know. Everyone was
jabbed at
jacking Dubas's tires up, saying that guy put together like he recruited with Sid, and what a team he put together. Then they lose. They cough up a goal. Dubas can't win.
Yeah, it's probably not his fault that the team couldn't score more than once against Denmark. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was not his issue. But he's an easy mark, why not? And he's in pit. Like, he got up off the mat quickly. I'm curious where Shanahan goes from here because the Islanders hired Matthew Darsh today as their GM. And very rarely does a president come in after the GM's been hired. I guess it's possible. Maybe he signed off on that.
Right.
Maybe he was cool with it. Maybe he's been along for the ride the last couple of weeks. I don't know. But maybe that's not the job he's looking for. I don't know what Shanahan's
I always wonder
now.
about these guys, like to have the commitment to playing the game as long as they did, and then Shanny, whether it be Joe Sakic or Steve Yzerman, like this management stuff, this is like this is there's no break. There's no summer break. You don't get like 2.5 months to go to your cottage. You might get a week and a half.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always something around the corner. And I wonder why more of them after like a tough loss for Colorado, you'd think one day Joe Sakic would be like, I'm going to go do what guys with a bunch of money that retire do now for the next 20 years instead of dealing with all the stress. But they love the game, man. They love the competition and they love the game.
Mm-hmm.
What, like, you wonder Shanny, like, is he just going to ride off and be like, I'm going to enjoy life, but he'll probably jump back into it in some capacity.
Well, he should. I mean, he's got a wealth of knowledge, but let's not forget, like, he wasn't doing this for the love of the game. He was making, let's call it $5 million or more. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure he was making a boatload of money, and he made a boatload of money. But I think it's an opportunity for him if he wants to take a step back and you're right, maybe enjoy life a little bit, relax. Instead of just having to be on all the time.
I think the fear always is once you're out for too long, you don't get back in, right? And Bill Belichick is in North Carolina because he was out for a year. And it's like, no NHL or no NFL for you, Bill. And maybe he gets back in the future, but there's only so many jobs. And Shanahan's not going to go backwards. He's not going to be an assistant GM. Like, once you hit president's role for 11 years, you're in that category now, right? You're looking to oversee a full organization. I don't know what's available to him right now, but he's been around for a long time. And he's played in a lot of different markets. He's played for a lot of different teams. We'll see. We'll see what Johnny has to say on that. We got Game 2, Oilers Stars tonight. We saw it last night. Florida just mopped the floor with Carolina. Carolina's lost 14 conference final games in a row.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We complain about these guys down the street. That's the same thing in Carolina. They got good players, but they can't elevate to a different level to punch through with these guys. That was actually like a slapping around of. That was serious stuff. Like,
that was way better than you.
Yeah, that was like the term "men against boys" gets tossed. That happened last night, where it was like, you got guys saying when they toss out, "We're looking to win a period," you're totally screwed.
Yeah, you're in
like
big
when
trouble.
you say we're looking to win a period, you're screwed.
Well, I think it's a sign of Carolina. They've always been a very good team that could get this far, and the question always was, do they have enough talent to exceed that? Like, do you have enough to get back, to the next level with, your goaltending, with your defense, with your system? Aho's a good player, Svechnikov, Jarvis, they're good players.
Not elevating. And for all the nerds that are like, in the past rounds, they were like, look how many shot attempts they have. They shoot the puck more than anybody. They shoot, they this and that. Well, great. What's it doing for you right now? They can't get the puck back. They can't get to the net. And they're getting dummied.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't get shots through last night, like nothing. So, you know what? Though, would you take what Carolina's done the last 7 years, guaranteed automatic second round?
If they're going to do that, no. Why would anybody sign up for it if it's automatic loss in the third round?
Teams would. I could name you a handful of teams that would take that. Utah would take it right now. There's
after
certain
what
teams
they did to Washington, I thought this would not be the case. And we talked about it, Noodles. It's fascinating when you're at the end of the line. Montreal got in the playoffs. They were at the end of the line against Washington. Washington got by Montreal, end of the line against Carolina. Carolina beats Wash, and they're just getting smoked by Florida. They're at the end of the line.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah,
I think
but
also
I mean, you would take that if you're not the Leafs, you wouldn't take second round, third round every time
win a game.
The last 7 years?
Not if I couldn't win a game.
Well, I don't know, Noodles. I mean, again, I think the Leafs are not far. Like, has Carolina had a better 7 years than the Leafs? I guess. They've made it to the next round a couple times and not won one game. So I don't think the Leafs are the barometer for that, personally. I think there's 15 teams in the league that would. I think Ottawa would. Ottawa would in a heartbeat, clearly. Montreal would, although maybe not. Montreal was in a cup final in 21, so maybe not. But I think Carolina, like we just said, they've lost 14 in a row in the conference final. You got there, they've won one game. Like, they haven't won one game when they've been in that position. But I think it's also a testament to Florida and the team that they have. It's
right.
It feels like they're the cup favorites. They deserve to be. They should be. And if they win another one, you're talking all-time great team. Like, that's what we could be on the verge of. Like, them fighting their way into all-time great status. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Where would you stand on that? Let's say Florida just continues to steamroll. They end up winning another cup. Where does that put them historically?
Yeah, it's a good question. Also, shout out from Stockholm. I'm watching you guys on YouTube. Couple of social media influencers you guys are now.
Yes.
So
hashtag.
Full live stream for me. Yeah. You know what? If they were to win again, that would be 3 finals in a row and 2 wins. That would place them amongst the best teams since 1990. Something like that.
What about Tampa Bay?
Yeah, well, like in that conversation, you got in a 3-year window, no teams have really done more than that. No team has won 3 in a row. Some teams has Tampa been to the 3 finals in a row? Yes, but they didn't win all of them. So yeah, they would be in that conversation. And it's amazing. Like we talked about this previously. Like, if Florida goes on and win, would it make the Leafs defeat sting less? And I said no. But maybe in hindsight, if they do, there is an element of, we're so quick to want to point out the shortcomings of the losers. We don't probably spend enough time focusing on the positives of the winners and what they do well, not so much with the other guys who lost didn't do well. And if they do roll through and win in 5 games in the conference final and win another Stanley Cup, and the Leafs are the team that pushed them the most and the furthest and the longest, there is probably something. It feels empty, but if you're not sort of attached to the team, there's probably something to that has merit.
Okay, we can get a banner up there. Push the Panthers to 7. We can get it up there.
Right beside the Canadian Division regular season.
That's right. That's right. That's right down the street from Ohtani flew to Dunedin. There's a lot of that going on around here. We love that kind of stuff. Did you see Taylor Hall said after the game? We couldn't find the viz of the audio. Greg Wyshynski tweeted this out from ESPN. asking when he was asked about the Panthers leading 2-0 going back to Florida. Taylor Hall said, quote, I mean, they just won 7 games against the Leafs, right? They're not a perfect hockey team, and we know that. There are areas to exploit like any team, end quote. Is that
a shot?
Is that a shot at the Leafs, or what is that?
It's called, I will always that is completely a shot at the Leafs. But I think it might just be like a subconscious. I don't think Taylor Hall is trying to take an intentional crack at Toronto. I really, truly believe that. But I think there is this notion around the league that the Leafs, they're not a punching bag because they're really good, but they're also a punching bag because they don't win in the end. And so I think that's what he was saying. He's like, listen, if the Leafs, who come up short all the time, can get 3 games on them, they're not the 78 Habs. We should be able to find something to do against these guys. I don't think it was conscious, but it's hard not, if you're feeling sensitive, to see that as a bit of a shot at Toronto. Now, if you're a Toronto fan, you'd be like, why don't you worry about getting more than 5 shots in half a game at home when you're down a game in the series, then taking shots at our organization? You got enough to worry about. And then if you wanted to go after Taylor Hall, because I don't think he's won a Stanley Cup in his very long and productive career either, you could probably go down that road as well if you wanted to.
Right. Yes, maybe that's what we need. Matthews to respond. Can we find him? Your take on Taylor Hall's take.
As far as number ones go, you're way worse than I am. Like, what do you
right.
say, right?
Exactly. Although they both have the same amount of Hart trophies, so Taylor Hall can't say that.
Oh, true enough. But Austin has a couple more rockets in there somewhere.
Yes, he does. But yeah, listen, Florida has dismantled Carolina, and then on the other side of things, I know you've been busy, and we'll get to why you're busy in a moment, Johnny. But a couple nights ago, it's 3-1 Edmonton. They are in the epitome of the driver's seat, like a perfect statement road game. Draisaitl's on fire, McDavid, Skinner, and then they give up 3 power play goals in a row, and they lose, and now they got to reset. And it's clear that special teams are a priority. They got to get the power play going on the road. They got to kill on the road. And Skinner, it took 1 game now for people to look at Stuart Skinner and say, what's going on? Is this a must-win, considering what we saw against L.A., where they lost the first 2 on the road? How does that jive with what needs to happen tonight for Edmonton?
I don't think it's a must-win. Of course, going down 2-0 against Dallas is not ideal, but I think Edmonton has shown themselves, even in these playoffs, as you just mentioned, capable of coming back from that deficit. Edmonton's a good team. I think, Noodles, you tell me. I watched the highlights, and yes, the penalty kill has not been good, which is not a good sign in the playoffs. But Stu Skinner, he never looked happy after those goals went in. He was always looking for a call or goal interference or something, but he didn't look great. They got to get decent goaltending. Doesn't have to be great, but Edmonton with decent goaltending, I think that team is good enough to go to the Stanley Cup final again. But I think it's on Skinner. And one more game like that, is Pickard backing up yet? Because if Pickard's available, they will not hesitate after one more.
He's not
That's available
the problem,
yet.
Man. They're not sure he's.
So they're riding it. No, so that's it. They're riding Skinner until it's over. But Noodles, you tell me. Skinner seemed very vulnerable in that game 1.
Noodles.
To be honest, I thought he was awful. I thought he was awful in that game. Go back to the Tyler Seguin breakaway. Okay, yes, it's a breakaway, but watch what he does. He falls. He ends up on his ass. Seguin just shot it around him. It was like a delayed reaction.
Noodles, that's that shot
motion.
I talked to you about.
And
a lot of shots, guys are shooting low glove now because you talked about the positioning. The goalie's glove is up like that. I've never seen, especially righties or lefties, shoot low glove. I'm seeing a lot of pucks go low glove.
Yes, it's a great point, And the other thing is Skinner, they exposed his movement. They exposed his movement side to side. They got him moving. And listen, I'm not going to lay that loss at his feet, but he could have been better. Put it that way, a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been the reason they won, though, Noodles. And the other part about you say his movement, and it seems like there's 2 different things for goaltenders. And I'm not a goalie guru like you, Noodles, but there's guys who are not great movers, and that's one thing. They're just not as quick or maybe not as explosive. But then there are guys who are clumsy movers, like James Reimer, respectfully. He's a bit of a clumsy mover in net. Roberto Luongo, your boy at times, he looked a little clumsy in net. And you watch Stuart Skinner, he looks clumsy at times when he's moving around, where he doesn't, he kind of tips over or falls awkwardly, off balance. And, again, he wasn't the reason they lost, but he could have easily been the reason they won, especially given where they were after 2 periods.
Johnny, we had Keith Pelly had a presser today, and I just wanted to ask you, the decisions moving forward, big ones, who do you think is going to pound their fist down on the table and say this is the way it's going to happen? Is it obviously Brad Treliving? Like it starts and stops there?
I think it's Brad Treliving, yes. And it starts and stops there, except I have no idea. I watched a bit of that presser over here live, and this is just guessing, not any sort of knowledge. There might be the occasional veto power available from Pelly or the board or someone very, higher. I guess Pelly would be the guy if he said, if Brad Treliving came and said, we want to trade Austin Matthews, let's say, and it's the thing we're going to do, I could see occasionally on a really big thing that might be up for discussion and not completely out of Treliving. But I think for the most part, day-to-day hockey team management, roster construction, cap issues, contracts, that'll all be Tree and his group that will take care of that going forward.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, it's a weird kind of vibe here. I know you've been overseas for a couple of weeks, but you can imagine. I mean, with the way they went out in Game 7 and then the Shanahan news hanging over them, there's already a million reports about Marner and Tavares and what's going to happen on those fronts. I was saying earlier, Johnny, like it finally does actually feel different. Now, that can change quickly if they re-sign Marner and Tavares. It won't feel different at all. But, like, Shanahan not being here, even though he's been kind of pokeroo the last 5 years, like he's not been around, he never talks, you kind of understood he was still, the guy that was running the show. Like, it was still his operation. And if Marner does leave, I mean, that's outside of Matthews leaving, that's as tangible as it can get in terms of that change. Yet now you're dealing with a fork in the road, because if the era has come to an end, and yes, there was not enough success, nowhere close to it, hopefully it gets better. That's the plan. But it could get worse. Like, it could go the opposite way. And we may look back at this in a year or 2 or 3 and say, you know what, that was actually the end of an era, and now it's worse. Like, now they're reverting backwards. And that's going to be very difficult for them to make sure they stay where they are, but even more so to get to that next level, because, I'm not sure they have the answers on how to do that right now.
Totally fair. Totally. I mean, they've been really good for a long time. And yes, the playoffs are another conversation we've had ad nauseum. But the idea that, if Marner leaves and Tavares doesn't come back, are they going to be would you say for sure, no matter what they do, they're going to be a 105-point team again? I don't know. I don't know what they become. Who do they spend the money on? How do they build their team going forward? Do they save money for the 2026 crop of free agents? Like, there's a lot of questions out there, and it may be one step back to hopefully take several steps forward. But that will be the intention, but that will not be the guarantee. It's not easy. I always put it in golfer terms, right? It's a lot easier to go from a 20 handicap to a 7 than a 7 to a 3. Like, the early steps that the Leafs have taken are more doable, and they did them well. It's the final steps that are hardest to figure out, and they're going to try to figure it out again. But there's no guarantee, despite their best intentions, the same best intentions that have been going on here for a decade, that the team will be better in the regular season, that the team will be more successful in the postseason. They have smart people running it. They're going to try, Hayes, but I don't know with any sort of guarantee if Marner leaves, if they're going to be better next year. I just don't know.
Yeah, we don't have the answer to that. I mean, I think we're fairly certain Matthews, Nylander, Knies will be back up front. Obviously, a bunch of other players. You're not going to turn over everybody. There are going to be guys that return. And then, like we said earlier, like the 6 defensemen that played every night in the playoffs, they're all on term. They're all locked in, and the 2 goalies are locked in. So you have a
what about
framework.
Morgan Riley? case. What about Morgan Riley?
That's the one that sticks out to me, Johnny, is where does he come into play? Because I don't.
As simple, Brian, as he needs a change of scenery, man. Freshen it up. I don't know.
But he's got 5 years left at 7.5, a full no trade. That's not.
I get it.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy because he didn't help his value this year. Like he just didn't. He didn't play well. He had the worst year of his career.
Right.
Yeah, and part of it, and listen, if Craig Berube is going to be there for 3 years, and if part of the dynamic this year for Morgan Riley was that the system of Craig Berube did not highlight his skills the way that Sheldon Keefe's system did, well, I don't think Craig Berube's system is going to change. So there is that dynamic. Is that maybe Morgan Riley hasn't fallen off, but just the system wasn't as ideally suited to him. And maybe you get into a team where it does, and he goes back to being a 50, 60-point guy. But this, again, a really hard conversation. I'm not trying to get Morgan Riley traded. I don't even want to start that rumor. But I think where the Leafs are right now is that they have to look at everything, including really hard stuff. And Morgan Riley has been like a really solid representative of the Toronto Maple Leafs on and off the ice. In many ways, he sort of is the senior leader voice, even more than Austin Matthews, on stuff when it comes up. But they're at the point they got to do hard things, and if that means Tampa forcing Ryan McDonagh to get traded because otherwise we're going to waive you, or the Rangers getting Barkley, like sometimes it's tough, and sometimes you got to do those things to try to get your team better.
Well, Johnny, do you think that Morgan Riley would be viewed different if he got some power play points? Because that obviously changed, right? We had Mark Giordano talking about that, where you get a lot of free points on the power play, and all of a sudden it looks different, right? The production looks different.
Yeah. I mean, you give him 15, 20 more assists that he would have picked up if he played power play 1 all year long.
Well,
and I don't know what he had in the regular season.
Then Calle Yarncroke gets 20 more points. You can't, this is the thing. Yeah, I don't disagree, but he's not playing on the power play. They took him off of it. So everyone gets 20 more points, and everyone looks amazing. That's not reality.
But on a different team, he would play on the power play because he's played on the power play for the Toronto Maple Leafs when they have been the best or top 5 power play in the league for 5 years in a row. He was a big part of it. So he's not just taking a guy who's never done it and say, okay, we'll concede. So it's not Calle Yarncroke getting 8 more power play goals. It's a guy who's done it before, and maybe you could make the argument if he were to go somewhere else, you put him on the power play, you'll have a good power play, and he'll get you 55 points. And at 7.5 with the cap going up, that's a second pair guy. That's not a first pair guy at all anymore. $7.5 million. That's a second pair guy, and maybe having an offensive defenseman who's maybe not perfect defensively, you can stomach that for that amount of money in a different sort of environment.
Yeah, and that is valid about the contract. I mean, it's not – now it's term more than anything. He's got 5 years left, I believe. Right. That's a lot of term. But the dollar amount, he is more than capable of playing to that number or exceeding it. And I do think there's be a concern if you try to move off him. You're moving off him after his worst season. I think he's got more in the tank than the way he played this year. I just – again.
And he was better with Carlo. Maybe a full year with Carlo at 5-on-5. Forget about the power play. Now, again, if you lose, and this is where you extrapolate it out, if you lose Marner, are you running 5 forwards next year?
Good question.
So if you're not, if your next best power play guy is not whoever, then maybe it's Morgan Riley again. And if you look at that decor, there is, I guess Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but there's not really anybody else who's going to run that power play if it's going to have to be a defenseman. So these are the sort of stuff you need to work through as you make these decisions, how the dominoes affect each other going through the summer and then into next year.
Absolutely. And all of that is going to be on the table. And, maybe there's a chance some of these Canadian players on the Leafs wanted to come over and play in the semifinals in Stockholm, and it's not available to them, Johnny. What the hell happened? How'd we lose to Denmark?
It's insane. It's insane. I don't want to overstate it with hyperbole. It's got to be the biggest upset in the last 40 years of this tournament ever. That Denmark, I did the research on this. Denmark had 4 full-time NHL players last year. 4. And Team Canada might have 4 Hall of Famers on their team between Flower and Sid and Nate McKinnon and who knows, maybe Macklin Celebrini, like whatever. And yeah, it wasn't my game. I didn't call it, but Canada played well early. The goalie for Denmark played great. But to be fair, in the third period, guys, it was 0-0 to start the third period. The shots in the third period were 22-10 in favor of Denmark. So it wasn't just the 2 late goals. Denmark was the better team. So they were inspired. Home crowd. Canada had an off night. Clearly, Canada couldn't score when they had the chances early. And this sort of coronation of McKinnon, Crosby, this great sort of Team Canada experience they're going to have, out the window. It's shocking. And the worst part about it, guys, so Team Canada was based in Stockholm with me. They had to fly to Denmark to play this game. They were obviously assuming they were going to win. They left their stuff back in Stockholm because they were coming back from the semifinals.
Oh, no way.
So yes. And their families did not go to Denmark. The families stayed in Stockholm waiting for them to come back for the final weekend. All the parents and the spouses and the kids are flying home Monday, and now every one of these guys want to get out of here. They had to find their way back to Stockholm. Also, they had a charter plane for the teams that won to fly them back to Stockholm. So it was Switzerland and Denmark who got on the charter. No room for Team Canada. Wow. They didn't even have a flight back to the city where their families were. It's just a disaster upon disaster. They all want to just get out of here now and get on with their summers. Bad news if you're Canada, but one of the coolest scenes you could ever imagine if you're just a neutral sports fan, to watch Denmark, their fans, like the King of Denmark, move to tears about this victory that they've never experienced before in their hockey playing history. So,
wow.
Neat story, but stunning and brutal and hard to comprehend if you're Canada.
Yeah, man. I've heard of a walk of shame. That's a flight of shame.
It's a plane, trains, and automobiles of shame.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, how sour some of those guys would be? Like, as the travel plans don't get worked out properly, or they're having to wait. What do you mean I got a layover in Copenhagen for 6 hours? Like, what? Like, it's just, I keep thinking Sid and Nate were like, all right, guys, we're just going to get a plane.
Yeah,
everyone
exactly. I was just going to say, depending on what your bankroll says.
Private bird. Yeah, we'll take a
me
proportional of our career earnings. One guy will put in 10, you put in 2. We're getting the hell out of here in 2 hours. Who's on board?
That's where Sid sends a note to the King of Denmark and says, I need a plane waiting for me.
That's right. Private plane, fueled up, ready to go. We're actually not going to Stockholm. We're going straight to Greece. We'll see you there.
Yes. What's the currency over there? Like Krone or Cronin or something? Kroner, straight Kroner. Sid paying straight Kroner to get home.
Like Randy Moss, straight Kroner, homie.
Straight Kroner, homie, all day. Get me out of there. And no Freddie Anderson even playing. It's the amazing thing.
No.
Freddie wasn't even there.
I mean, listen, Lars Eller not playing, Oliver Bjorkstrand not playing, Freddie Anderson. Those are 3 of the 4 guys. The only guy who is playing, Nick Ehlers, who scored the tying goal.
Amazing. Well, Johnny, enjoy yourself over there. It's
all right, boys.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by your YouTube stream. I'm watching all the time now.
Yes.
And the live chat is tremendous.
Right.
And I read a comment that legitimately made me laugh out loud. It said, watch it on YouTube. O's picture keeps making me think that the video is frozen because he doesn't move.
This guy's rebooting his computer because always has the lowest pulse on TV or on YouTube. Doesn't move.
And now I'm watching, and I'm like, I totally see it. It's amazing.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh, you got to move your shoulders every once in a while or something. You're a mannequin on YouTube.
No, I don't care. Johnny, what do you think our mode of transportation should be as YouTubers? Should we pull into Scarborough, Channel 9 Court, like with scooters or something? Like, I feel we have to represent the YouTube nation. We need scooters or
we
something.
Do need scooters. That would be cool.
Backpacks, scooters, and helmets, and we just wheel in.
One guy grabs really slow. And then one guy rides a bike and is a full hipster.
Done.
That's what we need.
We start that on Monday, man. We're all coming in different transportation. It's going to be like YouTube, Google around here. We're changing the world.
Not the bicycle just the two little wheel, the thing you stand on with two wheels that Mike Tyson fell off of. Just
all those, people take actually headers.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever go to New York? The one-wheeler thing that you put, like you pin between your feet, those guys go like 30 miles an hour. It's crazy. They bomb around downtown New York. It's wild.
Yeah. Like, it's already insane already in New York. Why would anyone implement that? You know, like
they're dressed like the Terminator, riding these like one wheel thing around.
Yeah,
craziness.
I know, man.
That's what you got to come in as. Oh, that's your move.
Okay, we can do that. Paul Blart that thing, man. We'll make it happen.
Blart. Mall cop, let's go.
We're doing it. We're really doing it. All right, Johnny. Good stuff, man. Have a great weekend. We'll do it next week.
All right, boys. I will talk to you from Toronto, mercifully, next week.
Can't wait. There he is, Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota hotline. Yeah, I think you're onto something, man. We need to be able to move. We need like a slide in our studio now, right? Wasn't that the big thing when Google opened? They had some slide, and that was supposed to mean, like, why would grown adults want to slide? You know what I mean? Like, if you're 40 years old, you're walking around in a suit.
If we're going to go down on that road, they also have free food and nice smoothies, and they
do.
Yeah, ping pong table, all that. Yeah,
let's get it all, man. Ping pong.
We got the Niner Diner. I mean, it's not bad, but
we like the Niner Diner. We love the Niner Diner. All right, we've got Chris Pronger coming up. Prongs will join us in about a half an hour. Dear Hazy B, in about an hour. The Jays are down at the Trop. They're back above 500 after sweeping the Padres.
Yes.
Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
FanDuel held a shooting contest to promote its new MySpend tool. MySpend makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Because betting without knowing how much you're spending is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's MySpend tool part of your system and stop shooting in the dark.
Wait, a pill?
It's a pill. Ask your doctor about Rybelsus.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without
This spring at Canadian Tire, you'll find over 1,000 deals each week, up to 40% off. So while it's not always easy, we've gotten used to goodbyes. Discover this week's deals online or in the flyer.
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
1, 2, 3.
Put us in a box. Go ahead. That just gives us something to break out of. An opportunity to shatter expectations. In the next generation GMC Terrain AT4, what we choose to challenge, we challenge completely. We are professional grade.
Ever feel like no matter what you've got, someone's got more? And someone's got more than that. More to spend, more places to go. And just when you think there couldn't possibly be any more, you realize there's more to life than more. You're richer than you think. Scotiabank.
Do you need relief for irritated eyes? Try Soothe Preservative-Free Allergy and Dry Eye. With a control grip bottle for accurate dosing, Soothe contains hyaluronic acid for soothing hydration, an ectwane which helps form a protective water barrier. Try Soothe.
Whoa! Who half-assed his framing? Oh boy.
Son, no one likes a half-ass. No one.
You can't half-ass pouring in Canada. Jeez.
You lied to me.
I'll pay the price. Because I love you. In a way you can't understand.
On your back, you're mine.
I would do it all over again.
The 105th Memorial Cup on TSN.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Mail-in Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. If you're in Southern Ontario, bring a raincoat and an umbrella and rain boots. It's been miserable the last couple of days.
Dude, it's not getting any better either.
I know, it's sick. It just sucks when it's so bad, man. It's just awful weather, raining and dark, and you tag the Leafs onto that, and you're like, what's going on here? But again, the Blue Jays are red hot. All of a sudden, the bats are coming alive. They're a game above 500. They're chasing the Yankees. The Yankees are the pace car in the division, but Jays are now second in the American League East and chasing a wild card. And yes, it's only May, but they've got a couple months to figure out what they're going to be. You know, you got to figure out who you're going to be and what you're going to be. What are you going to do leading up to the trade deadline? And again, they've been playing really well. They're down in Tampa starting tonight. And as we've announced, you got the Canadian Open, RBC Canadian Open, in a couple of weeks. And today it was announced Ludwig Olberg, your boy, Tom Kim, my boy, I like Tom Kim, Sung J. M., Alex Noren, they've all been announced. Also, a couple of amateurs, Luke Clanton and Gordon Sargent. Those are your guys. You love amateurs. You're always talking about how they're going to win.
Luke Clanton's a stud. He got his PGA Tour card at the Cognizant this year in Florida.
Yeah.
Like, he's a legit player. He's got the little stash cooking out there. He's one of those guys, you would see him on the first tee, and you're like, how does a guy that skinny rope it out there as far as he does? Like, he's just not a big dude. Great player, though.
Well, Akshay Bhatia is number one on that list, man. The guy looks like he's 132 pounds.
I want to ask you, what, like, I've seen Akshay. What size of waist do you think that he rocks?
It's 28 at most.
Dude, max.
Max 28. Max.
Like small like Jonas? Like Jonas is
tall,
a thin guy.
Noodles. Like, I think he's 6 foot anyway, like 6'1", 6'2".
Dude,
he's a tall
he makes
guy.
Jonas look like Tim Herron. I'm not kidding. Yeah, he does.
I mean, Jonas is thin, dude. Jonas is a very
Jonas
healthy.
is ripped.
He's a very healthy individual. He runs and he plays softball and lays down bunts. And he does a lot of great things. Tim Herron's a stretch. You take that back. That's not accurate. But Akshay is really thin, and he wires, man. He crushes golf balls too. Like, it's amazing. And yeah, I think Akshay was up here last year. Was he in Hamilton? I believe he was. But the field now at the RBC Canadian Open is like the best they've had in decades. With Rory coming up, all the Canadians. You've got obviously Ludwig Olberg announced today, who's a stud. He's going to win majors in his career. Lowry's up here, Rose is up here, Homa's up here. It's stacked, man. It's stacked.
I just hope.
Great tourney.
And I told J-Mac, I'm like, I'd like to. I had a difficult time saying this with a straight face. I said I want to go on the site visit to see where we're going to be set up, because if we're set up right beside the tee block at 3 o'clock, do you know that Patton Kizzire almost wrapped his golf club around Carlo Koliakovo's neck because Carlo was ranting and raving about something, and this guy hit a skank ball out into the parking lot at Oakdale, and he looked back and he wanted to strangle Carlo.
Yes. I know.
It was start time at a tour event, and Carlo was like, I don't know what's going on. And this guy was about to hit a 9-iron and skanked it.
That would be very distracting.
Dude, can you imagine? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of a quiet PGA Tour morning, and some guy is screaming about an NHL game in your backswing? We need to be set up where it's just you can't hear the voice.
Well, I can't guarantee that. I mean, listen, we're in a different position.
Well, dude, how much sense does it make then? We're a radio show where we rant and rave about stuff. You can't put us beside a tee block where a guy's playing for millions of dollars.
A couple of things on that. One, I hate to break it to you, it's already been built, so I don't know where it is.
I can't wait to see it.
I'll send a text right now. Let me send a text, try to get you an answer on where we are. Now, I would ask this: do you think it would be worse or potentially more distracting to be at the tee or around the green?
Dude, I think
green. I think green.
I think the tee, don't you?
Well,
because a tee is like you can do something. It's the margin of error, and you can hit a skank ball that hits a person, like that goes way
it's more
sideways.
Dangerous. I would agree, but I think you mentioned Patton Kizzire, who's not exactly stable on tour anyway. But you get a guy with a 6-footer where he's like, I'm on a cut line here. I got to make this putt. And I'm yelling about the Jiffy app in his background. That guy is going to lose his mind. I mean, I think the T-ball.
Can you imagine he's pulling it back for an 8-footer for like close to a course record, and you're like, my toilet blew up last week, and I called the Jiffy app. That guy would run up there and absolutely dummy you.
He would. It would probably be deserved at that point. So let me find out where it is. But we are in a different position because by the afternoon it's packed. There's so many people, and there's natural noise that just emanates through the grounds, right? Like the rink hole is the place to be at the course. It's an incredible atmosphere. Yeah. It's packed. There's people there all day. It's great. But I'm not worried about when we're on the air. Like that now, when we're there for the practice rounds, but these guys don't care. Like we've done that before when we've been there on a Monday or a Tuesday. Remember we saw Fluff and who was he with?
Yeah.
He was with someone. I can't remember who came through Hamilton last year. And, we're talking and they're working on their thing. But by the time you get to the actual tournament on Thursday and Friday, we're fine. It's different in the morning, though. You're right. Like, there's not that many people on the grounds on Thursday at 9:55 in the morning.
No.
You know, and Koliakova was yelling about what they need to do with Mitch Marner.
Yeah, if you remember at Oakdale, it was like we were facing forward and the tee was behind us and you couldn't see anything.
Yes, that was tough.
And he said Patton Kizzire was so pissed at him, he kicked his club and looked back and wanted to strangle Coco.
I remember that setup in particular was tough because we didn't know what was going on behind us.
No.
And we were elevated and they were right below us. And that
Dude,
was
we didn't
tough.
know what was going on behind us at Hamilton last year either. The best setup we had was at St. George's. We were far enough away from the tee block where we could do our thing and nothing was really bothering us.
Right. That was a good setup on 16. Now, I'm getting intel here saying we're further away from the tee deck than usual.
Yeah, who's sending you that? The grappler?
No, not the grappler. Although he would know. He's in management. The grappler is probably on the site. He would have had a hard hat on, telling people exactly how it's supposed to operate.
Okay.
But, yeah, my understanding is that we're further away than usual. I guess we'll find out when we get there. And Fluff caddied for CT Pan. That's who we saw last year. Remember CT barely made it to the fairway on 11 because it was so windy and so cold. Anyway. Yeah, it looks like we're a little bit
Fluff
further
went down
away.
and that big dude from the crowd ran out there and grabbed his bag.
Yeah, Fluff fell or whatever, and CT Pan had to call in like multiple people.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't think he liked the guy that came from the crowd.
He didn't. He fired that guy after like a hole, and they called in somebody else. It sounds as if we're a little bit further away. I don't know. That's what Kenny's saying. Ken Volden is the guy who's telling us exactly where it is. So Kenny would know.
There you go.
Kenny probably signed off on it. And I guess what that means is if a golfer has any issues, we'll just direct them to Ken. Say, go talk to him, and you guys can figure it out. But I think we'll be fine. All right. So there you go. 2 weeks today. We'll be there. Possibly bothering people, possibly not. But it's our favorite week of the year. We love it. It's going to be great. Cup final will be set. Feels like Florida's going to be on one side. And then on the other side, we'll find out, right? Edmonton's got to have a response tonight. Chris Pronger on that and more in about 20 minutes. Dear Hazy B coming up in about 45. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
When we come together, we can handle anything.
Let's huddle up, Canada.
Hiding muscle and joint pain behind a smile? Voltaren can help. Voltaren contains a clinically proven anti-inflammatory that penetrates deep to relieve your pain and reduce inflammation. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Here you leave today and enter
A world of galaxies.
A world of speed.
A world of other worlds.
for whatever you love. Infinite worlds await.
Domino's new Parmesan Stuffed Crust Pizza tastes like never before. Because Domino's has never had stuffed crust before. Seriously. But we do now, and it's stuffed with melty cheese and topped with garlic seasoning and Parmesan. Try it for the first time tonight. From Domino's.
When Janelle asked the web for motion sickness remedies, Carlos from St. Catharines replied, lay flat on your back and take some deep breaths. That's when Nora in Winnipeg said, I trust Gravol. For fast, effective relief from nausea, trust Gravol. Proudly Canadian.
Jump, 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 jump.
Ranked #1 in client satisfaction among mid-sized banks 13 years in a row. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
The Silverado Trail Boss. And a little work. And a little play. And a truck that says no to nothing. And Chevrolet.
Lease a 2025 Silverado Custom for $198 bi-weekly. That's like $99 weekly at 3.5% for up to 24 months with $5,050 down.
And Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Love glitter? Try having it literally everywhere. Waterworks? Nothing's more dramatic than a skin knee. Paparazzi's got nothing on first graders.
Whoa! Who half-assed his framing? Oh boy.
Son, no one likes a half-ass. No one.
You can't half-ass pouring in Canada. Jeez.
We love traveling for hockey, which is why we love Skyscanner. We save on average 30% when we compare flights and rental cars.
Hey, don't goon your brother, jabroni.
We love a good Donnybrook.
The rink will be rocking.
As loud as this sport can be.
As a star-studded field of golfers, led by our nation's best.
Oh, Canada.
Contend for the Canadian crown. The RBC Canadian Open on TSN and TSN+. The 105th Memorial Cup on TSN.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
My bad habits lead to late nights and in a low.
All right, Chris Pronger in about 15 minutes. Dear Hazy B, still to come. Our best bets on the hockey game tonight. It's been an active week in terms of news. You know, Sunday night, the Leafs lose Game 7, and then we're waiting to hear on Shanahan. That happened yesterday. Keith Pelly spoke today. And I wouldn't say Pelly revealed a lot, but did say that, you know, as of now, moving forward, there will not be a replacement of Shanahan's role. And We'll see. I mean, the future of Maple Leaf sports and entertainment, I think, is going to possibly look and feel a lot different with, Bell no longer involved. We'll see if Tannenbaum's going to be involved. That'll be the big one. Larry Tannenbaum has been there for a long, long time.
And you got to think that he's going to be stepping aside.
Yeah, and he's just not going to have the same amount of power anyway, right? Like Rogers they got the majority now. So
what a shed that guy's got, man. He hosts the team for Christmas, come over. Insane-o world.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some rich people's houses. That guy's top 5 rich person's house I've ever
It's
been.
Crazy when you see a really rich person's house.
Yeah. You're stupid rich. You're not a rich guy.
Yeah.
You're stupid rich.
You couldn't possibly get rid of all this money rich. You're so rich.
Yeah.
That's a different world. When you get
and really nice guy too. Good guy, to talk to. Mm-hmm. Larry's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Did you call him Larry or do you go Mr. Tannenbaum?
Come on, dude. I'm a grown-ass man. Larry.
No, I know. You call exactly. You're 50 years old. You call people by their name. You don't go, "Hi, mister." That drives me nuts. I'm 50-some years old. It's like, hey, say hi. Like, I don't know. It drives the guy's a grown-ass adult, too. You could go, "Hi, Larry," or "Hi, whoever." You don't go, "Hi, mister." I know it's a sign of respect, and I get it. But I don't know how many times I've been around situations like that, and people are telling you, "Well, you have to say Mister," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." His name's
man.
His name's Rick. I'm calling him Rick, and I'm not calling him, Mister this and that. It's ass kissing 101, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I don't play that. Homie, don't play that.
It does happen a lot, though. It happens a lot in sports. Specifically with the owner, and that would be a big one. Mr. Tannenbaum, want to say thank you to Mr. Tannenbaum, showing respect for the guy.
Yeah, but just because someone's got way more bank than you and he's older, it doesn't mean you call him Mr. Be respectful, but it's not you don't owe him Mr. It's Larry.
So where do you draw the line, though?
What?
Where do you draw the line? Would you create a nickname for him? Would you have the Stones to call him some nickname or?
Well, I'm not going to go up to him and slap him on the shoulder and say, "What's up, tan dogs?" I'm not calling him
Why not?
tan
You're
dogger.
50. You could do that. You can pull that off. We're riding scooters around TSN. We've established that today.
Dude, we're YouTubers. Maybe as YouTubers, we should call him Mr. Tannenbaum.
Mr. Tan. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we should. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I think it's different when you're a player and you got guaranteed contract and all that kind of stuff. I think if you're a GM, if you're a coach, like Craig Berube, I bet you would call him Mr. Tannenbaum.
I don't think so, dude. Craig Berube's 60 years old. What are you talking about?
I'll bet you we can find tape of him saying, "I want to thank Mr. Tannenbaum."
Okay,
I would not be surprised at all.
You're right, but I need to backtrack here. If you're in a press conference and you're wanting to show respect, 100%. You and you're a player or you're a coach. You're saying thank you to the ownership group, Mr. Tannenbaum, Mr. This. But I'm talking in a social setting. This person's sitting at a table,
right?
That's the difference. I agree. There is respect should be given out, and he's earned it. I'm not talking him in particular. I'm talking generalizations. That's where I'm more. But Craig Berube guaranteed would call him Mr. Tannenbaum if he's referring to him in a press conference and something like that. No. But if you're out for dinner, you don't going pass the bread, Mr. Tannenbaum, or pass the.
I told
you
guys about my two buddies. They're both rich and they're both 80 years old. We're best friends. We have lunch all the time. I call them Muldog and Eddie. I don't
but
call
they're
them
your friends, though. You're not friends.
So what?
With
So's Larry,
Tannenbaum.
man. Well, he's not my enemy.
It's not about enemy. He employed you when you played for him. He was the owner of the team.
So what are you?
I'm not
talking?
saying
This
you
is
have to. I don't care what you used to do
conversation.
20 years ago. I'm just saying. I think a lot of people would refer to him as Mr. Tannenbaum. I'm not saying we would. If we had him on the show, we'd call him Larry.
No, but he's earned that right. I'm not trying to disrespect this individual.
Right.
What I'm talking about
generalities.
in generalizations, yes.
I got you. All right.
You're basically saying this is how dumb you are. You're saying you got to call him Mister because he's loaded. So
No,
just
I'm not saying that.
my two buddies that are 80, you got to call him Muldog and Eddie.
You didn't work
But this
for
guy's really low. What?
I'm saying this guy when he owns the team. He owns the team, and you see players and coaches and GMs do it all the time. I want to thank Mr. this, Mr. that. You see it when the Super Bowl's handed out. Hey, thanks so much. I want to thank Mr. Kroenke. I want to thank Mr. It happens all the time. They always like Andy Reid, every Super Bowl refers to the Mr. Hunt and Mrs. Hunt and this and that. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it does happen a lot.
You're Mr. Hayes. I'm Mr. Noodles. Look at our screen. Look at Mr. O-Dog.
There you
Look
go.
at that. They've
Mr.
changed
Hayes,
our group.
Mr. Noodles, and Mr. O-Dog. Okay. There you go. Keep that up the rest of the way. Chris Pronger coming up. Mr. Pronger will join us.
Mr. Pronger.
Mr. Pronger in 10, and Mr. Hazy B coming up in about a half an hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.
Overdrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
At FanDuel, we know hockey fans don't just have a hunch. You have a hockey hunch. You could tell they're going to light the lamp before they do. You could see that assist coming a mile away. And you just know when your goalie is totally in the zone. So put your hockey hunches together for a same-game parlay. Bet the NHL all season long on FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook.
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego zero-turn riding mower with E-Steer technology drives like a car, turns on a dime, delivering ultimate control with the precision of a steering wheel. It's weather-resistant, and with 22 horsepower, it cuts up to 2.5 acres on a single charge. Powered by Ego's patented 56-volt arc lithium battery technology, the same batteries used on all Ego tools. Find an Ego retailer near you.
This one or this one.
Yeah, with so many choices, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
It's why we love ColorSpark pre-tinted paint. It takes the guesswork out of the process.
What are you doing here? Let me show you.
What is going on?
I don't know, but it looks great!
Whatever your style, ColorSpark has you covered with their premium pre-tinted paint. ColorSpark by Rust-Oleum. Now available at Walmart and online through participating retailers. Visit colorspark.ca for details.
I can see clearly now.
I'm here to save you.
I want to give you the chance you need. A chance to give.
I want to remind you that your life means a lot.
And you can share that life
With those who really need it.
Here we go. One more. One more. Go, go, go.
I'm here to save you. Like you're here to save me.
Bright, sunshine day.
When Priya asked the web for upset stomach and nausea remedies, Susie in Red Deer said, sit in front of a fan and rub your belly. That's when Nora in Winnipeg said, I trust Gravol Ginger, made with real ginger for upset stomach and nausea relief. Trust Gravol, proudly Canadian.
Details. They may be small, but their importance is enormous. Every choice, every gesture, every tuning is a testimony to the most intense passion. Because details are not just details. They're everything. New Alfa Romeo Intensa. Passion is in the details.
Eastside Mario's Daily Deals are here with a purchase of a beverage. Join us on Monday for all-you-can-eat pasta for $19.99. Wednesday, buy any dinner entree or pasta and take a pasta home free. That's right, free. Thursday, 3-course dinner for two for $50. Only at Eastside Mario's.
Where are we going?
Who's the driver?
There she is. The rookie who thinks she can take down the Southwest Al Capone.
Hold it.
Oh, I got you.
You don't get to where Saxton is without leaving a trail of bodies.
Sax didn't kill my brother.
What if he did?
I'll kill him myself.
She's a problem.
Inside these lines lies an epic challenge. Every rally, every reaction,
Oh, stop it!
Leaves a mark. Victory belongs.
Yes! Oh, wow!
To the most tenacious. And history is written on clay.
What a win. What a moment.
Roland Garros on TSN and TSN+.
The rink will be rocking.
As loud as this sport can be.
As a star-studded field of golfers, led by our nation's best.
Oh, Canada.
Contend for the Canadian crown. The RBC Canadian Open on TSN and TSN+.
They should have never given us uniforms if they didn't want us to be an army.
MasterChef, Wednesday on CTV. Stream next day on Crave.
Sail GP lives here. Friday.
Yeah, hi, it's Bill Lumberg again. Yeah, it isn't a half day or anything like that.
This is OverDrive.
It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
With Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues. Powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Big hour. Chris Pronger coming up here in just a moment. Dear Hazy B later in the hour. Our best bets. We're chugging towards Game 2, Edmonton-Dallas tonight. Game 2, Knicks-Pacers tonight. The Jays are down at the Trop. They're down in Tampa. Tracking Scotty Scheffler down in Texas. See what's going on down there. And it's going to be a fun weekend. And the first weekend without Maple Leaf hockey in a long, long time.
Yep.
And we had the Keith Pelly presser today. We had the Brendan Shanahan news yesterday. And we'll catch up with Prongs and get his take on all of that, what he sees happening in the future, and what he makes of the Florida Panthers.
Just an FYI, Hayes, we back in the day, I think we referred to that Dion Phaneuf group as like coach killers, and Phil, like we were like Phil's a coach killer. Yeah. That top line's a coach. I think we said that, all of us. Well, look what these guys have mowed through. They just got the president fired. They've had 3 GMs and 3 coaches. So if Phil's a coach killer and Dion were coach killers and Bozak and JVR and those guys, what exactly are these guys? And it goes back to the same point about bringing people back. And it's like, you're talking about a president. Like, these are big-time firings. These are big-time positions. You just heard the guy today talking about how important this organization is throughout the league. A president, 3 GMs, and 3 coaches. Think about that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, man. And Matthews, and listen, now Marner is probably just going to get out of here. You know, he's probably just going to leave and say, forget it. You know, I'm leaving. And the argument will be made, well, no one wants him back, or how could he possibly want to stay? It's too tough and all that. Maybe, you know, or maybe if they want to keep him, you could phrase it as if he's running, as opposed to trying to stay and saying, screw it, I'm going to take on that narrative and I'm going to change it. You know, but I don't hear any of that, right? That maybe Mitch Marner should be viewing it that way. Instead, I got to get out of here. Wouldn't we appreciate? I know I would appreciate it. Doesn't mean I want to see it happen necessarily, but I would appreciate it greatly if he said, listen, I want to clarify something right here, right now. I want to win in Toronto, and I don't want to leave until the job's done. And I get why people booed us. I get why people turned on us. I'm going to change your mind. I'm going to do this, but it's never going to happen. None of these guys are going to take any responsibility because they never have.
Let me ask you this. Is it simple? And we've been talking about it for a couple of days now. Do you think that there is a layer where they're so guarded where, like you said this the other day, Brian, well, maybe it's a scenario where I would love to hear Austin Matthews, like his actual thoughts on this, where you're genuine and just go, yeah, you know, I blew this, or I needed to be better in that. Like, is it not a PR spin, this is the wrong wording, but would it be better, would it help the fan base if you were actually able to get more from these guys in a candid moment? Like Austin Matthews come out that night after they lost and said, like, we were no good, and I'm looking in the mirror, I need to be better.
It's never been like that.
I'm just asking.
You got the same You get the same thing, and again, Keith was saying today, we got to improve the fan experience, the connection with the only way you do that is if the team wins and does differently. And I always think back, like, they got to Game 7 against Florida with little production from their top guys. Like, Game 7 against Florida, Matthews didn't dominate at any particular time. He scored one big goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the issue might be, Noodles, that he may genuinely believe that it wasn't his fault, right? That would be the concern. Like, if the PR spin was it's on me and all that, that might not be how they're wired. You know, they may be wired like, hey, don't look at me. Go ask Berube or go ask the other guys or whatever. I pulled my weight.
Well,
that's the
ask Mr. Pronger. Ask Mr. Pronger.
Yeah, we'll ask Mr. Pronger in a second. But I'm like that media that night where he's like, you know, we didn't. Their team wanted it more, and we weren't on the same page. Those were damning comments for me. I just
Insane
didn't like
comments.
it.
Yes, very much so. But I don't know if that's because he's uncomfortable, he was unprepared for the moment, or he was again passing the buck because he's like, well, don't look at me.
That's
Don't
what
blame
Hayes
me.
says to his wife after our shows. He was like, I was good. The other two are not on the same page, and we had passengers.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every day we go through the grading system, and I give harsh grades.
Honey, I was great. Too many passengers. O-Dog's a bum, and Noodles was floating.
Yeah.
Here's Chris Pronger joining us on OverDrive. Always gets an A+ when he comes on the show. There he is. What's up, Prongs?
I'm fantastic after listening to you three.
Yes. This is the world I live in all the time. These two, woe is me, playing the victim. Perfect for Toronto, right? No accountability.
Yes.
No
That's
accountability
right.
on this show.
Prongs, let me ask you something off the hop. When you were in St. Louis and you saw the owner in the hallway or whatever, how would you address him? Would you say, hey, Larry, or whatever his name was? What did you call him?
Let's see here. Depend on. Initially, it would be Mr., but if he said, "Don't call me that," then I would call him by his first name.
There you go. Respect.
Yeah, but
in
he
the
was.
handshake line.
Oh, he was 23 years old. What would you do right now when you're almost? How old are you? 50? You're not 50 yet.
I am 50. I call everybody by their first name.
Exactly. That was my point.
Except Mr. Snyder. Mr. Snyder was always Mr. Snyder.
There you go. See,
I didn't call him
I don't
Ed.
know if we've established.
I called him
here,
Mr.
but-
Snyder.
Okay. Go ahead, Noodles.
But
How do you
everybody called him
respond to
Mr.
that?
Snyder. Everybody
Mr.
called him
Snyder's how old? Well, he at what point?
passed
Like he
away
was.
now, but-
I know, but he was like 85.
78. He was 78 when I got there. I think he passed away around 85-ish, I believe.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
So, okay, I get it. At 50 to your elder, yes, I get it. But if you're 50 and somebody is 56, you don't go, hey, mister, like to
But
me,
Noodles,
it's like
the situation I was in. These guys think I'm a jackass, Prongs, because I was 30 years old playing for the Leafs, and I called Larry Tannenbaum, the owner, Larry. And they're like, that's offside, man. Got to go with Mister. Like this guy, this Hayes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yeah, but
Mr. Hayes.
Mr. O-Dog, it's all depends on your style. He probably appreciated it.
Right.
That's right. You're probably blowing darts outside when you saw him.
For sure. For sure. There's
Hey, Larry.
100% certainty that there was a player's light in his garden bed beside his front door. For sure.
That is how you break the ice. Anyway, yeah, it's been a wild week in Toronto here, Progs, because I'm curious how you value the role of the president, like the one that Shanahan played the last 11 years.
Yeah.
Keith Pelley came out today, the president and CEO of MLSE, the larger parent company, and said that role is not going to exist moving forward. Do you think is that a good thing, a bad thing for the Maple Leafs? Where do you stand on that?
It depends on if they keep what he's put into place moving forward. I think he was brought in under that job title for a specific reason, to look at what they were before and now what they've turned into since. There's been a lot of good things also put into place, and just alumni initiatives and some of the business initiatives that Shanny put in place, and some of the player initiatives. Nobody's perfect. I'm sure he'd like a redo on a number of things, but overall, I think his tenure was pretty good. Not great because he didn't win. They didn't get past the. I think the sticking with the core four for as long as they did was a mistake, especially spending that much of your cap on 4 players when other teams were not, and having 4 forwards up front counting for that much of your cap without really dealing with your defense or your goaltending.
Prongs, what would you do? Like if you were asked or brought in, or you were giving advice to whoever was making decisions, what would be mandate number 1 like this summer? Even if it came to Tavares and Marner, let them walk, get different players. Like, what would be your one main staple that you would say this has got to happen to have any chance of different kind of results?
Well, I think they have to spend the money in the right places. I think once they're now good, they've now created cap flexibility with the Tavares contract coming to an end, the Marner contract coming to an end. They've got the goalies under a contract for another year. They can take a look at them, make sure they're the right guys before they spend any of the other money on them. The Nyes situation, I think they need to bridge him. Personally, I would bridge him to see what he gets to. People talking like he's going to get 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever people are guessing he's going to get.
I love those numbers, Prongs. Like
it's out of nowhere.
One of his, I know, is comparable. If you want to go by statistical stuff, would be a guy like Dawson Mercer, who's making 4.5. But all of a sudden, because it's the Leafs and everybody's crazy, he gets 10. It's like, look at Dawson Mercer. Like his,
you have to, and then maybe with the physicality, you add in $1 million. Now he's at 5.5, and it's a year later, et cetera. Whatever metrics you want to use. Even if you have him at 6, fine. Give him 2 years at 6 and really get an understanding and work with him and develop him. And if he gets to be a $12 million player, that means you're in love with him and you appreciate how he plays. He's going to do something special for your team. But I think, again, in their current construction, it's 2 forwards, 2 centers. They have to start making sure they look at the other parts of their roster construction as well. And are they still in all-in mode? Are they in all-in mode? Are they trying to win now? If they're trying to win now, nobody cares about the first-round picks. Nobody. Like, you're trying to win now. And are they still in that window, depending upon how they spend the money, who they're able to bring in? It'll be interesting to see. And then they can adjust and adapt. And they don't have first for the next couple of years, so we'll see.
With Chris Pronger, so you look at the Oilers going into Game 2 tonight. Special teams have been a big issue for them on the road. I mean, I don't want to overstate it. They're in the conference final and they lost 1 game. But, their power play on the road hasn't been great, and they gave up 3 straight goals shorthanded the other night. Like, you played on both sides of that. Like, how do you attack that tonight, and how personally do you take it when you're someone that's killing penalties and giving up goals, or on the power play and not scoring them?
Well, you take it personally, absolutely. You're not doing your job on a number of fronts. Number 1, stay out of the box. Number 2, if you're going to stand in the goalie's sightlines, you better block the shot. Like, you better be diving in front of shots. It better be a yard sale in trying to block these shots, which I did not see in Game 1. And whether that's the layoff, whether that's not understanding what they want to do from a technical standpoint, or maybe it's just a blood and guts thing, I don't know. But they need to sell out with respect to blocking shots in the penalty kill. They need to be more disciplined, and Stuart Skinner needs to make the saves that he should make. And this one, he got caught standing in behind Nurse and Robertson. He looked late, never even saw it. Like, if Darnell Nurse is going to stand there directly in front of the goalie, he's got to block the shot. Like, why is he standing there then? He should be standing off to the side. If you're not going to block it, get out of the way. That's why he's standing there.
I agree. I agree. I didn't think Skinner had his goods. I didn't think he was very good. I thought that their penalty kill stunk and their power play, didn't get it done. But, in the end, what do you make of Edmonton's team compared to Dallas's? I think Dallas is a really quality team and well built. Is it just a matter of a response? Because for 40 minutes, to be honest, I thought Edmonton looked really good the first 40 minutes. It's just the third period, Dallas came alive and really took it to them in the third. I haven't seen a comeback like that. I mean, I can't remember 5 goals in the third period, especially against a team that seemed like it was complete control of the game.
Yeah, until the first round with LA and Edmonton, except they didn't win.
Yeah.
But
they didn't win it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you, Noodles. I thought Edmonton controlled the play outside of the one little mistake when Draisaitl lost the puck and Seguin went on the breakaway. For 40 minutes, they dominated the game. They dominated in zone, offensive zone time. They were pretty slick and sharp in their own defensive zone. And then they just got sideways with the penalties, and they lost momentum. And then once the snowball started going down the hill, they couldn't get it under control. And the Granlund goal was a beautiful shot. I don't like Wallman when he goes down on the one knee like that to block a shot. I would rather him go out and close time and space. He's there. Why not go the extra foot with your stick out and try to get in the lane? Robertson had just come across a flash screen. When you look from the angle behind the net, the goalie cannot even see the puck when it's coming off a Granlund stick. The one that I didn't like was the fourth goal. Duchesne's goal. Skinner was swimming in the net. He looked very discombobulated, very what was kind of going in and around the crease. And, he got nudged. I don't even know if he got bumped. Then he lost sight of the puck, and he was kind of swimming all over in there. It just, to me, he was worried about getting hit, but it was his own player there. So, he's got to be sharper. They just need to clean up a couple things. I really like their game. If anything, I'm Dallas. I want to clean up my game. Their defensemen did a very poor job in puck watching, both Draisaitl and McDavid. They don't need to go out and hit them. They just need to stop staring at the puck and just get in the way. Just use their body to impede their progress. Because
don't those guys kind of make you do that a little bit though, Prongs? Like they just, regardless of your level of talent as a D-man, they can make you look stupid.
Oh, absolutely. But the issue was for 2 periods they kept stick checking and kept staring down at the puck. And we showed a couple highlights. I was on the Sportsnet broadcast. A couple highlights from the year before when McDavid toe dragged Heiskanen and scored a beautiful goal. And listen, they're talented. They're going to score goals. They're going to, highlight real goals and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, if I'm Dallas, that's something that I can clean up and I can get better at. They can do a better job in their defensive zone. Ottinger, I thought, played really well. He outplayed Skinner. And I think when you're looking at the two on paper, you would expect that. But, going off of the previous 2 series, Edmonton just needs to tighten up just a little bit. And I think it'll be a different result.
With Chris Pronger, how about in the East where Florida seemingly is just getting stronger and stronger, man? And they walked in. Carolina's been off for a while. But you look at Florida, their last 4 games on the road, 5-7 in Toronto, 1-2 in Carolina. It's like they're playing an expansion team. It's incredible what they're doing to these guys. Do you see that? Like, are they getting stronger and stronger? Is Carolina afraid of these guys? Like, what do you make of the first 2 games?
I don't think Carolina. So in the first 2 series, Carolina is a pressure team. They just are on you constantly on you. They don't score a lot of goals. They just throw pucks at the net. They attack with bodies. They don't ever calm anything down and really make plays and shoot the puck with a purpose to score. Against New Jersey and against Washington, their defense couldn't handle that pressure. And they were constantly suffocating them with that pressure. Florida is actually doing it to them. Their defense have closed the gap way up. They're going into the top of the circle, inside the top of the circle of Carolina's end to really close the gap, force turnovers, playing physical, and Carolina doesn't have an answer to it. They don't know how to make plays in those situations. They're so used to being on the other side of it that they really look like they're struggling with that pressure. And then you add in the physical component that they can't match, and then just the ability to be opportunistic. Florida, up and down the lineup is able to score goals, whereas when you look at the statistics, Svechnikov really is the only guy who's been able to put the puck in the net at any big clip over the last few years. So they're a Carolina, that is a meat and potatoes team. You know what you're going to get each and every night. They don't play a super skilled game, but Florida has just run roughshod over them, and they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, they sure are, man. Like they are impressive. You look at again, like Game 6 in Florida, the Leafs went down there, played a really strong game themselves, and kind of pushed Florida to the outside. But for their last 5 games, they've just completely dominated possession, the tone of the game, the pace of the game. Like you said, they've overwhelmed them everywhere, like all over the ice. And I don't know. I mean, it feels like.
And when you look at time on ice, look at time on ice, they're rolling 4 lines. They're not just top 6 dominant. They've got all 4 lines rolling, all 3 sets of D. Like they're fresh.
Well, and that's the luxury. That's the luxury of being up. You get up 3-0 in a game. You're like, why not? Like we're gonna play all these guys.
What did you make of the Reinhart or the Aho on Reinhart hit?
I didn't like it, but
I
mean,
like
it if you're going to hip check a guy, but he clips his knee. I don't know.
That could be a big loss, man.
Yeah, I don't like when guys go after knees, personally. But
got
that's
him.
just me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm on board with that too.
I think we all sign off on that. Around the horn on that. All right, Prongs. Well, we'll leave it there. It's we'll see what comes out of it in Dallas tonight, and back in Florida tomorrow. Enjoy that. Enjoy the weekend. Great seeing you. We always appreciate you doing this.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, misters.
You got it. Mr. Pronger joining us here, the Hockey Hall of Famer himself. Yeah, that was a little greasy play there by Aho, and it didn't sound positive. Like, I guess they were going to wait to see what was going on today with Reinhart, but I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play tomorrow night.
And there's nothing, no penalty, no fine, no nothing on that play.
No, not that I've read. No. There's been some greasy plays. Like there's been some greasy plays in that series, and Carolina's getting frustrated, and Florida.
There was a Svechnikov on Bobrovsky early that was greasy. Yeah. It was like he kind of did the old slap shot, kind of shoulder down. And
he knew what he was doing. The hip to the head, it was kind of looked like it. And even last night, Svechnikov went after Tkachuk, like right in front of the bench, and they're starting to lose it. Like Florida just does that to you, man. They embarrass you and they lean on you and they're chirping the whole time.
Yeah. And they do all that, Hayes, but they score.
Yes.
Like the most, like, we talk about all these things and we break it down because that's part of the game. But the biggest and most important thing is the gigantic score clock. And they get on it and they make sure that that's taken care of as well. They hit and they're disciplined and they structure and they pressure, but they rip home what they need to win, and that's just the most important thing.
Yeah. And there was that also. I think it was Mikkola on Jarvis last night. Like that, I think he's out too. He got knocked out. Like they're. Yeah. So I mean,
there's a game though. I think
that was a big. Close to greasy too. Like Jarvis was looking at his pass, but it was like
that could have easily. Bobby Mack used to get somebody to freeze it and have a time frame where he would like count down, and that had to have been close.
Yeah, and Mikkola looked like he kind of elevated his kind of shoulder to the head, and that's what you get, man. I mean, Florida, they're not going to stop doing that. They'll take a suspension, especially now, up 2-0. Go ahead, suspend them for a game or two. They'll just move on without them. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen anyway. Mail-In and Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has an all-new, all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. We've got our best bets coming up a little bit later in the hour. Game 2 down in Dallas. Game 2 at the Garden. Knicks, Pacers tonight. We got Game 1 of a 3-game series down at the Trop for the Jays and the Rays. And, again, we'll get to our best bets and Dear Hazy B still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
OverDrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
At FanDuel, we know hockey fans don't just have a hunch. You have a hockey hunch. You could tell they're going to light the lamp before they do. You could see that assist coming a mile away. And you just know when your goalie is totally in the zone. So put your hockey hunches together for a same-game parlay. Bet the NHL all season long on FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook.
How come we never talk about the Canadian dream? It's not like we don't know how to dream. So what is it? Are we too polite to flaunt it? Or do we prefer to just live it? You see, the Canadian dream isn't some faraway ideal we only talk about. It's all around us. It's on the highways, in the hospitals, and the arenas that bring us closer. The Canadian dream lives on every corner of this land. And at Tim's, we're proud to fuel it.
It's a cucumber when it goes in the jar, and then it just comes out a pickle.
Go on.
So, like, when does that happen?
Oh, right. Like, what's the pickle point?
Exactly.
Dude, I don't even know. I guess it's sort of like an olive?
Wait, no, an olive is like always an olive.
You need to write this stuff down.
It's nice to really talk to somebody about these things. Anyway, what are you doing tonight?
Not much. What about you?
Bums. We don't tend to talk about them, but 1 in 2 of them might get hemorrhoids. Itchy, swollen pains in the behind. Sound familiar? Use Anusol Plus to soothe itching, reduce swelling, and relieve pain. And for cleansing, try Anusol Wipes.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave with
This spring at Canadian Tire, you'll find over 1,000 deals each week, up to 40% off. So while it's not always easy, we've gotten used to goodbyes. Discover this week's deals online or in the flyer.
Whoa. Who half-assed his framing? Oh, boy.
Son, no one likes a half-ass. No one.
You can't half-ass plumbing in Canada. Jeez.
A century. 100 years. It's a story written by Canadians. Every worker, every dealership, every family that chose us. From the highways to the back roads, school drop-offs, and Saturday skates. You've put your trust in us, and it's because of you we've put millions of vehicles on Canadian roads. So as we mark 100 years, this is a thank you, because you didn't just ride along, you drove us.
The rink will be rocking.
As loud as this sport can be.
As a star-studded field of golfers, led by our nation's best.
Oh, Canada!
Contend for the Canadian crown. The RBC Canadian Open on TSN and TSN+.
Inside these lines lies an epic challenge. Every rally, every reaction.
Oh, stop it!
Leaves a mark. Victory belongs.
Yes! Oh, wow!
To the most tenacious. And history is written on clay.
What a win. What a moment.
Roland Garros on TSN and TSN Plus.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't.
All right, best bets coming up later in the hour on Game 2. Oilers Stars tonight. We'll get to Dear Hazy B in just a moment. Doogie reminded me because just based on reflex, I throw out all the different parks and stadiums and rinks, and I mentioned that the Jays are in Tampa playing at the Trop. But, of course, the Trop, had all that damage due to the hurricane, and they're playing at some, college stadium, and it's amateur hour, and I've read a couple of things about the players, off the record, I can't believe we're playing here, man. We're in the majors, and it happens. It was a natural disaster, but the Trop isn't great anyway. And if you're in Tampa, you got to be looking around thinking, what are we doing here? What is going to happen in the future? We don't have a lot of fan support. They keep talking about different buildings that are possibly going to get financed, possibly won't. Remember there were those reports years ago about them splitting between Montreal and Tampa Bay, and they were looking to do that.
You can't do that.
They're not
kids, schools, you're not.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. But it's always weird when you see that. Even the Athletics are playing in Sacramento. When the Jays during COVID were playing in Buffalo.
I don't know how they put up with it, Hayes. It's just if you're a player, like you say, look at the facilities that I did it. I played in Greensboro, North Carolina, with a tarp around the top of it to block off the fans. And it's not a big deal. We didn't complain about it that much, but it was 85 miles one way, 85 miles another way. And the best part was the first couple of years, our practice rink was halfway to Greensboro. So not only did we drive there and drive back the next day, you're getting up and you're driving halfway to Greensboro to the practice rink. And you're like, this isn't the NHL. And if you're a guy that's a good player and you want to win and you've got your winning years ahead of you, why would you put up with it? You could easily say, I'm out of here. Get me out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 I remember talking to Jeff Sanderson about that. He was saying it was crazy. You guys were in your car all the time, it felt like.
That's it.
Hour there, hour that back.
I used to go up the night before. So Sunday night, go up for the Monday game, then back Monday, back up Tuesday night, and then back. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. And this one again is it's understandable. You got to make plans, but it is difficult when you go on the road and you see other teams. And for the most part, teams in pro sports are all investing a lot into practice facilities and all that. But this was a story Rick Tocchet obviously brought up, on his way out of Vancouver going to Philly.
Yeah.
That I believe the Canucks are the only team in the league without a practice rink, which is crazy. Everyone else in the league has a practice rink I guess Vancouver. Remember back in the day, with the Leafs, they would sometimes practice at St. Mike's, and there'd be days where they're at what was the rink that they always used to practice at? Now I'm blanking on it. But it was an old barn, it was an old rink, and you knew they were down there. And this was
Leafs?
Yeah, the Leafs.
Lakeshore Lions Arena.
Lakeshore Lions, that's what it was. So they'd be at Lakeshore Lions Arena. Then you'd hear, hey, they're at St. Mike's. The Leafs are practicing at St. Mike's Arena. And that's the way it used to be. You'd have to go, and you'd practice at the Gardens. You'd practice all over the place.
That's what I couldn't figure out when I got here. I'm like, I didn't it was a great practice rink. What do you need from a practice rink? But you hear all the stories, Maple Leafs, this and that, and you're like, this is a practice rink?
Yeah. How do you not have your own spot built?
Well, obviously now they're dialed
now
in and they've got the state of the art, but it was it wasn't adding up before.
No. And again, Vancouver doesn't have that. They're playing at the equivalent of the Lakeshore Lions Arena, practicing.
Isn't it 8 rinks? I think they're at it's a multiplex, 8 rinks where other people are there.
That's tough.
It just
Public
it is tough because.
But you just need you need someone to bulldoze part of it and put the dressing room in. That's what you need. Everyone can have a sheet of ice. It's just everything else has to be dialed in.
Yeah, you got to have the gym. You got to have the stuff for rehabbing. You got there's you got to have your own space. Is what you got to have if you're a professional athlete.
Well, what's funny though, when I played in St. Louis, the rink is downtown, but the practice rink is in Chesterfield, which is 30 minutes, 40 minutes the other way, right? I don't know how you got or how you felt, but even Hayes, I don't know if it happened in junior, but you'd get guys that go to the wrong rink. They would have to remind people, hey, we're at practice rink or we're practicing downtown tomorrow. Guys, remember that, because some idiot would get out of bed and drive to the practice rink, and we're actually on our main rink.
I loved the big rink. It was that's where all your stuff is, and it was it's an NHL. I just love being at the big rink every time. And I never understood, the Habs, I don't know why they have their morning skates out in Brossard. Yeah, downtown is that's where the vibe is, and I used to love just the vibe of morning skate. It's you're going to a place to get, to warm up, and that it's going down at that building tonight. I always found morning skates at a practice rink to be weird. I don't know why, I just do.
It is. I mean, I used to do it with the New York Rangers. Their practice rink's in Rye. You only go and play games at the Garden. You rarely, go to morning skate.
The Garden's a different beast. They have so many events and everything.
Right. But in Florida, for example, the Panthers, you would see, the Leafs would practice at the main rink, and the Panthers, they're practicing out at their practice rink, and then they just go for the game. Sometimes it's a setup, and I don't mind it. You just have to be sharp as a player. I'm not joking. I feel like I went one time to out to Chesterfield, and the practice was there, and you're driving 1,000,000 miles an hour because you're afraid to be late for practice.
Terrified,
right?
Eh?
Crazy.
Yeah, you would be. Yeah. You'd be terrified, and it's an honest mistake. But still, you're not going to get any credit for it. They're going to say you're a dopey idiot. You weren't listening. It was up on the whiteboard. It's on you. What were you doing last night? Sounds like a Dear Hazy B. Let's fire this up.
Yeah.
People send in a tweet. They write us for our professional advice on life things. Dear Hazy B, every morning my boiler has a gas leak. My wife thinks it's the baby.
Dear Hazy B.
If you want to come to Hazy B, I need honesty from you.
Hazy, you got dumped a lot. Tell me. Tell him.
Grown adults with birthdays, it's asinine.
All right, Dear Hazy B. Brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. We've had a fair amount of Dear Hazy B type scenarios. I think, do you call someone Mr., right, out of respect? I think that was something we've talked a lot about today.
I can't believe of all the things that you just got stuck on. I have my own Dear Hazy B. By the way, if anyone at Islington, Lambton, St. George's, you guys, anyone's teeing it up at 6:30 tomorrow morning, let me know. I'll pay my own way.
Uh-oh. What happened? Your trucks?
I called my course, and I was like, hey, there's a lottery system, and the guys just hung up the phone, didn't put me in it, so I'm not golfing tomorrow. So if anybody wants to tee it up around this area.
That is disappointing. All right, let's get the O-Dog out somewhere. Come on.
Yeah, I'll pay my own way, and I'll play for $100.
Oh,
keep in mind he's got his own. Keep in mind he's got his own rules, though. He goes ahead in his own cart. Doesn't he?
There's certain things that come with it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll throw that in there. If you're all walkers, probably not. I'm not the guy for you.
Would you call him Mister though? That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still play with you, but I go in the cart. I ride in the cart.
Okay. Let's get you out there, man. Let's find something for the O-Dog tomorrow morning. All right, what do you have for us?
Speaking of golf, Dear Hazy B, I play with the same 3 guys, and we have matches, and one of the guys in my group is my best friend. Sad to inform you that in the woods last Sunday, I caught my best friend cheating at golf. He dropped the ball, and I watched it, and he denied it in the cart, and I haven't said a thing. How on earth do I bring this back up to him, and do I inform the group of what I saw?
Wow, the ultimate infraction, man. The ultimate infraction, the breaking of the code.
From this note this guy sent me, it sounds like, you know how they joke about, the ball in the pocket, ball in the sock? Mm-hmm. That's what he saw.
Yeah.
And he does not know how to handle it.
And I'm sure he saw, not only did he drop the ball, but in a perfect line with a perfect sight line out of the trees.
But Hayes, it's not just seeing that. It makes you wonder, how many other things has this guy pulled?
Well, the answer is many.
Yes.
That's the answer. Because if you're comfortable doing that, I'm assuming there's money on the line. I mean, this is where, there is a difference between if you're all out just having a good time and T-shirts and shorts and messing around, it's still not, you might want to call them on it. You're probably going to goof on them. But if you're serious golfers and it's like, all right, what's your cap and we're playing for money, you can't have that because the guy's going to grease you at some point. Like, it's coming.
That's right. It's got to be in your head. Oh, the teams are flipped around, and you're on the other team now going into the woods with a towel trick. Oh, that's very funny.
Exactly. Like, where do you draw the line on that? If everyone else is on the other side of the fairway, I'm just going to make sure I get a good lie here. Like, I think this guy, you catch him doing it once, there's no telling how far he'd go. So it's mandatory you approach him. Mandatory. It's got to happen. And now you got to be prepared.
Is it approach him and say you got to come clean with everybody and tell them what you did, or you're out of the group, or
I don't think you have to go that far because I think what you're risking is losing your friendship here. I mean, this could be very explosive, very explosive, because if he gets his back up against the wall and comes back swinging, then it gets ugly. So I would do him the favor of saying, listen, we're going to keep it between the two of us for your sake, but I got my eyes on you. And next time it happens, in other words, it can't happen or you're going to be out of here. I mean, I just think you got to have – it's a tough chat, though, man. Best friend, greasy move.
Yeah.
Again, if there's money on the line, it's golf. Everyone's keeping scores. The caps are supposed to be dialed in. I don't know, man. That's a greasy, greasy play because it's got to be the honor code out there. Has to be. You can't follow everybody all around the course.
Yeah,
Dear
call
Hazy
him out
B.
and tell him to smarten up. That's
Call
what
him
you
out
need to do.
personally. Don't do it to the rest of the crew. That's your play.
Yeah.
Dear Hazy B, months back I informed you of a good friend in our friend group who usually dated missiles only.
Right.
He then started bringing around someone much older than him, and the exact age is he's 28 and she's 63.
Wow. The reverse Belichick.
Yes. He has informed us that an engagement is coming. Is this the right play, and how do we support this? Are you okay with the age, or is it age just a number?
Well, I would say...
So this guy not only brought his new friend around, he is now going for it.
Yeah, this is officially a reverse Belichick, according to TMZ.
Yeah, 63-28 difference.
Wow, man, that's a 35-year age gap. That's massive.
Know, man. That is a massive.
I would say, I think, if I can recall back then, it was kind of like, hey, you can probably let your buddy know, this is getting a little bit funky or a little bit, I don't know, maybe this doesn't seem consistent with the way you generally operate. I think you're right to do that and say that 6 months ago. I think now you're out, man. Like I'm saying, if there's an engagement and all that, you have no right to say you can't get engaged. I mean, you got to shut up and just be like, all right, where are we going on the bachelor party?
Yeah.
Where's she going on her bachelorette? That's what I want to know. Where is she going to party? Where is she going to party?
Shady Acres.
Possibly. That I think it's a no. I don't know about you, Noodles, but I think you got to bite. You got to say, hey, that's awesome. Love is in the air. Can't wait. Good for you. Congrats.
Get it rocking, man. Who cares?
Amazing.
You let it rip and see how it goes.
Go have a great time. Why not?
Support your friend. Honestly, if he's happy and they're happy, so be it. And then if it doesn't work out, you go, hey, remember when you married that older lady? Like, it just, in the end, support your friend. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure she doesn't act 63, or maybe he's a 60-year-old, 28-year-old. Who knows? Something's working for them.
Maybe he demands to be called Mister. You never know. Maybe he's old at heart. What's that marriage? What's that party gonna look like? Because we all went to weddings when we were in our 20s. It was insane.
Yeah.
Parties and bands. You'd be buckled all day. You'd be up all night. There'd be
throwing people in the air. And just...
I don't know. It feels like it'd be a very different,
subdued
looking wedding.
What if all her friends are like older, and then then you got a total
presume
kind of weird
that's the case.
Vibe.
Yeah, I would guess that's the case. But hey, who knows, man? Love is in the air. You got to shut your yap. Right? Yeah. Just sit there and nod and say, good for you. This is great stuff. I love it.
This one's pertaining to today.
Okay.
Dear Hazy B, I've seen numerous people in the past come out and say winning is the only option for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Tell me why and how I could believe Keith Pelly in what he said, that he can make a difference. What can he do?
Man, I don't really have a good answer for you, and that's what is terrifying about this.
Yeah, what he said today, I've heard the same thing 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. It was very, good isn't good enough. We're here to win. We owe it to our fans. Like, yeah, we get it.
Well,
okay, not the wrong messaging, but also one that is very hollow over time. Like, we get it. Of course, that's your plan. Everyone says the same thing.
I've got an answer, though. I think Keith Pelly should do exactly get out of the way and what you do is if he believes that Brad Treliving's the right general manager
let him do what he
Craig
does.
Berube's the right, let them do their jobs, because that's the biggest thing that I've noticed it through pro sports. We talk about it every day. How many times have ownership and boards and that can't help themselves? They get in the way instead of going, we put you in this position. I'm going to trust that you do the right thing. I think the best thing Keith Pelly can do is be a great support a great support system for the hockey ops people. And yes, they've got a lot to clean up there. I think they have 150 people that work there or whatever. I believe it came out and talked about how much, if you're going to streamline it a little bit, but just be focused and say, Tree, I trust you to go do your job. Go do your job. And if he doesn't do it, then everybody, there's a pecking order. He gets held accountable. I just feel like it's paralysis by overanalysis sometimes when you have way too many resources. Everybody's got too many cooks in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that's ultimately what needs to be said. Like, if you're having a conversation with Keith Pelly, it's, hold people accountable and actually prove that you have just an absolute kind of manic approach to winning. Like, you're obsessed with winning. And, that ultimately you're not going to sell that at a press conference, to be fair to him. And I remember, and I've referenced this before, when Shanahan was hired and revealed, it was very subdued. And there were a lot of cliches, and it wasn't over the top, and it wasn't rah-rah. Then I remember when Brian Burke got hired, and he had the greatest press conference of all time.
Yes, they'll name schools after us, and this and that. And it's like everybody says, I've been an expert, and they all are. And they all want to try to bring their expertise to the situation and take their lessons learned in the past and try to apply it. It's just none of it's worked. That's where the skepticism comes from people, where they're like, I've literally, since 2004 or 5, heard that 5 times from different people.
Yep.
So why would anyone believe you?
And honestly, actions are clearly going to speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And it's on Pelly because he's overseeing the whole thing. Yeah. Raptors are not in a good place. Toronto sees a disaster and has been for a few years.
And as far as the Leafs go, Brian, they keep going back to this, and it's a valid point. It's factual. I don't know what resources do for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. What does that do? You're going to get all these pencil necks that do the stats and have an analytics team with 300 people. What does that do?
Well,
what does the resources mean in a cap era? You got to get players in there.
I guess what we talked about with the facilities, the ability to supply different things that maybe other teams can't.
What?
I think there's. Well, I'm talking about, you always talk about it. Like guys say they show up at certain teams and there's like fruit on the table. The Leafs show up and there's a 5-course meal for breakfast.
Okay, well, if you're going to get a vegetarian omelet with a side of turkey bacon, if that makes you play better in Game 5 and 7, prove it.
And it doesn't, though. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I asked the question.
But those are the resources that they can spend. They can do stuff like that. First class, 4 seasons instead of a Holiday Inn. All that kind of stuff. But it hasn't been worth anything because the players still look at it and say, "Okay, I want $13 million."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it hasn't mattered because the players haven't actually appreciated it. They still demand every penny, and they still go out there and fall flat in the biggest moments. So to answer your question, they're meaningless. They're meaningful if you win. Look at Florida. Everyone, these guys ride their golf carts to all that kind of stuff. If they're dead last in the league, no one cares about your golf cart story. It's not interesting.
Right.
It's your losers. Like, good for you. You're losers driving around in your golf carts. Now they're winners driving around in their golf carts and the great facility and how awesome it is. And that's how you define the resources. It's in retrospect. Did they pay off or not? Did you win or not? So Yeah, we'll see. All right, there you go. Dear Hazy B. We'll come back with our best bets. Tee up a busy weekend. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
FanDuel held a shooting contest to promote its new MySpend tool. MySpend makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Because betting without knowing how much you're spending is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's MySpend tool part of your system and stop shooting in the dark.
A century. 100 years. It's a story written by Canadians. Every worker, every dealership, every family that chose us. From the highways to the back roads, school drop-offs and Saturday skates. You've put your trust in us. And it's because of you we've put millions of vehicles on Canadian roads. So as we mark 100 years, this is a thank you. Because you didn't just ride along, you drove us.
Whoa. Who half-assed his framing? Oh, boy.
Son, no one likes a half-ass. No one.
You can't half-ass chlorine in Canada. Jeez.
Oh, this is cute. Yeah, there's no price on this.
Oh, that's because it's not for sale. We're just vehicle specialists.
But the last place I went sold all kinds of things.
At Fountain Tire, we focus on one thing, your vehicle.
Huh. I like that.
Tires are on, belts replaced, sidecar attached. You're all set.
Great.
And now you can put our stuff back.
Bit of a klepto.
Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump, jump. Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump.
Ranked #1 in client satisfaction among mid-sized banks 13 years in a row. Tangerine. That's forward banking.
I was Alex's favorite top. The top of tops. But then she started living it up with Virgin Plus. With its affordable phone plans and member benefit discounts on fashion, travel, and entertainment. Now she's got dozens of favorite tops. Dozens! Leaving me hanging high and dry. Oh, I still smell like her.
Affordable phone plans plus so much more. Virgin Plus. Obviously.
Italy.
KFC's $5 sandwich of the day is back. Only in Canada.
Have a great trip.
What? Sit down.
Not everyone's happy, but you will be.
Your financial journey starts here.
Investing 101. Alternative assets. Avoid the hype. Talk lines. Craft the differentiator curve.
Whatever life you choose, gold is easy to invest in online. It could help you grow what you have and protect it. Gold. Choose your own path.
For the first time in MasterChef history, we'll have partners in the kitchen.
MasterChef, all new, Wednesday at 8, 9 Mountain on CTV. Stream next day on Crave.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Yes, he's a 3-6.
All right, today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I have a 4-leg same-game parlay for the Oilers game tonight. I'm going big game hunting. Oilers win. McDavid 2 points. Draisaitl 2 points. Hyman 2 points. All the big boys come to play tonight. They're all rocking. That's paying plus 1242. That's a huge payout.
Multiple points for each?
All of them tonight.
Ooh.
Yes.
I've never heard that.
I love it tonight. I think the Oilers come out flying. I think they respond. I could see a 5-2 win. And if there's 5 goals on the board, I feel good about McDavid and Draisaitl getting there. Hyman, I think so too. I think Hyman's going to be in the mix tonight. I saw a stat this morning. He's thrown more hits than anyone else in the playoffs. Zach Hyman.
Yeah.
All right, today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays now available for every Stanley Cup playoff game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19+, physically located in Ontario. All right, we got that game going tonight. We got the Knicks and Pacers, Jays and Rays, and next week we'll see if we have more Maple Leaf news, right? This week was about putting a bow on the Leafs and their season. I don't know. Sounds like maybe John Tavares could sign an extension next week or the following week. Very possible. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and up on YouTube. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at
Scooters Monday, 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
OverDrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
At FanDuel, we know hockey fans don't just have a hunch. You have a hockey hunch. You could tell they're going to light the lamp before they do. You could see that assist coming a mile away. And you just know when your goalie is totally in the zone. So put your hockey hunches together for a same-game parlay. Bet the NHL all season long on FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook.